The views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Happy birthday, Barack Obama. Welcome, little buddy.
Happy birthday, Barack Obama. Happy hump day to you. Fancy Brian on the board, our fair audience. Thank you for joining us. Happy days indeed.
Amongst the panelists, Fancy Brian's next up on the birthdays. How old will you be, Fancy Brian?
43.
43.
I had to think about it.
I mean, the former president just turned, 60 years old? I mean, I feel like we got some catching up to do, Brian.
And just to put things in perspective, James Hetfield turned 59 yesterday.
Happy birthday, Metallica.
I am like almost precisely between you and Barack Obama.
All right.
For whatever that's worth.
Which is absolutely nothing.
Big 51 now. We've already had our birthday month.
Yeah, I know.
So happy birthday, Fancy Brian. A little prematurely. Want to be the first one to publicly on the radio wish you a happy birthday.
Well, thanks, man.
Do I have I achieved that goal?
Yes, you have. I think you're the first person on the radio to say, live on the radio to say happy birthday. Yeah.
Well, consider that your gift.
That works for me. It works for me.
So valuable.
I'm a humble guy. I just need, just validation every now and then.
Love and validation.
Little crumb and a bunch of food.
Now we're going to have a fine guest. Mark Pocan, my congressman. We're right here in his district. Mark's coming around at 3:40 Central Time. And we got Robert Pilot. AM 950's own Native Roots Radio plays out here on Devil Radio as well. Robert's in town. He's coming down to the studio.
Nice.
And I promised yesterday, I'm a little dismissive of one of the callers. Or maybe that was you, but
that's usually the case.
No, it was me. Anyways, the reason why is because I was saving the topic, man, leaving meat on the bone for our buddy Robert Pilot. We're going to talk line 3 again today, Dom. And
you're usually dismissive with me.
Are you still talking?
And
I want to revisit a topic from yesterday's show. And it's Cuomo.
It's Cuomo. it's the me. Wait, what was it? The Me Too, not Me Too, too? Not Me Too?
Wasn't me.
There we go.
Too.
Wasn't Me Too.
Sort of the Shaggy meets Me Too. Dominic, and I don't want to just go there because 63% of New York voters say Crudy's wrong and Cuomo should resign. That's not where I want to go back.
Wait, that's not the polling we talked about yesterday.
It was confusing.
It really wasn't. Was it that confusing? Because I'm pretty sure yesterday I said if you added up that 20-some% and that 40-some%, given the new info, that 40-some% wasn't really rock solid support.
Are you telling me you want me to trust the reliability of your math on the radio? I'm immediately dismissive.
Yeah, pretty sure we could pull the tape, but yeah, 63% of registered voters in the state of New York think the Governor Cuomo should resign right now.
Still more popular in New York than Donald Trump, I suspect.
Probably.
Dom, I want to revisit. And yesterday, here was my only point. Let's not rush to judgment. Day one, I mean, how can the entire New York congressional delegation and Schumer and Gillibrand, these senators from New York, hell, the president of the United States was dogpiling on Joe Biden, said, yeah, you got to resign. I'm thinking, slow down, Dems. Doesn't the man have a right to his day in court?
Sure.
So I made that point. We're so quick to run good Democrats out. But we had heard some rumors that perhaps Cuomo was always a bully.
But also,
few friends from New York told us
some very important.
You don't know him like
here.
We know him.
Attorney General Tish James, released this report. Right there was lots of information in that report about his behavior. This wasn't just some accusation that just bubbled up from some disgruntled former employee.
Correct. And I personally had not seen Attorney General Letitia James. I hadn't seen her presentation. And now I have.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty effective.
Uh-huh.
Pretty damning.
Yeah.
All in all, pretty damning. So again, I still think, Cuomo's got the right to a defense. And then later, I also got to see Cuomo's response. And we talked about contrition, and we were reading it, and it's a little dry in the reading. But he wasn't contrite. No, when I've seen the video, he was downright condescending. I mean, what the hell are you doing? Showing pictures of you smooching people. How is that a legal defense? Oh, here's Barack Obama giving a guy a hug. So, therefore, e pluribus unum.
Right.
I did nothing wrong.
Cuomo kissing men and women, and then other, random politicians kissing and hugging each other. But I haven't, I've seen some of the pictures from the news reports last night, and I verified all of them.
Was there any Joe Biden sniffing hair?
I think Joe may have been in one of them, but I'm pretty sure none of those pictures, none of the people in those pictures, or any of the 11 women who came forward in this report. You know what I mean? I mean, great. Look how nice you are with all these other people. We're not talking about those hugs and kisses, Cuomo. We're talking about sexual harassment in the workplace with young staffers. And none of those women were in those pictures.
And a state trooper. That's kind of ballsy. First you get her put on your security team, despite the fact she doesn't have the prerequisite 3 years experience.
Right. And
then you harass her. A little bit. But, she's on your guard detail. And she is a cop. She probably has some sense of the meaning of the word assault. Let's just put it that way.
Well, sure. But all cops, to my understanding, are under the purview of the executive branch, right? And he's the governor. He is the leader of the executive branch.
Well, hell, to hear told he got her that job on the security detail. So maybe I was wrong.
All right, man.
I not wrong about being overly premature, because now with just even 24 hours reflection, it seems so much worse.
You're just so used to being premature, Curdy. I get how it could happen, but no, I mean, listen, I appreciate you taking. I appreciate you taking.
I see what you did there.
The devil's advocate's side of it to, perhaps address the other side and the rush to judgment, and perhaps I would have agreed with you, Curdy, had it not been for I mean, this is a professional prosecutor. I mean, she's the Attorney General of the State of New York. I mean, Tish James. She knows what she's doing.
And it was really good.
She brought in people from the Southern District of New York. She brought in professionals to do this investigation.
And brought them to the press conference as well.
They also were very effective.
And very thorough.
Yes.
Cuomo, maybe you should reconsider. Maybe a resignation is in order.
So I'm sorry. So are you saying I'm right?
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Come on.
Maybe mathematically, you're somewhere close to the statistical polling. Here's the polling. 63% of New York voters say Cuomo should resign. That's much different than the combined numbers. You'd have to go to the tape. At least by 1 or 2, it's different. 63% of registered voters in New York think Governor Andrew Cuomo should resign after an independent investigation found he sexually harassed almost a dozen women and broke state and federal law, according to a poll released Wednesday. Now, he still has the presumption of innocence, right? But anyways, alleged to have broken some laws. The Marist University poll shows that only 29% of registered voters say Cuomo should serve out the remainder of his term. Now, I'm not going to say I said he should serve out the remainder of his term. But if you're going to deny, you kind of have to do so from the top. And he did. And he has been continuously. Support for his resignation. And this is encouraging, Dom. It's a bipartisan thing.
Of course it is.
52% of Democrats think that Cuomo should resign. And 77% of Republicans also say he should step down. 59% of registered voters also say he should be impeached, including 48% of Dems and 80% of Republicans. And he will be impeached, probably, Don. That's what's coming next. And hell, there might even be some criminal charges.
And I guess we talked about that yesterday, Curdy, and we brought up a fine point. And at the time, we hadn't had clarity on this. You know, if these were state and federal crimes articulated by A.G. James, why didn't she charge?
Civil investigation was the nature of what has occurred so far.
The Washington Post reporting the district attorneys in Manhattan and Westchester County on Wednesday formally sought materials gathered for the state attorney's general extensive report on alleged sexual harassment by New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, inquiries that could lead to new criminal investigations. The requests indicate that Cuomo is now facing intense scrutiny from prosecutors in the wake of the report, which found that Cuomo sexually harassed 11 women in violation of state and federal law. Albany County District Attorney David Soares said Tuesday that his office is pursuing a criminal investigation of the matter. Danny Frost, a spokesman for the Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus Vance Jr., we know that name from the Trump investigations, said in a statement Wednesday that after learning that James's office had completed its investigation, quote, our office contacted the Attorney General's office to begin requesting investigative materials in their possession pertaining to incidents that occurred in Manhattan. And separately, Crudy, Westchester District Attorney Miriam Roca said in a statement Wednesday that her office is also seeking the materials. As some of the governor's conduct described in the report occurred in Westchester County, we have formally requested investigative materials obtained by the AG's office, Roca said. So that's 3 district attorneys now looking into criminal investigations based on that report.
I'm not here to defend Cuomo. Hell, probably should resign. I mean, everybody thinks so. Everybody's saying so. I just don't think it should be a rush to judgment. But the initial evidence,
it's a 4-month,
pretty damning.
4 or 5 month investigation. That's not a rush to judgment.
Come on, man. I had to go home and watch some MSNBC last night. It's kind of busy doing a little business, a little radio show yesterday. You know, sometimes we revisit the topics.
Yes, as we should.
And you can as well join us, Devil's Advocates, 844-967-2789.
When people in your own party say they won't vote for you or support you, that's a dead giveaway.
I would really question somebody's judgment if they couldn't figure this out.
And we can all look in a mirror and find some blame somewhere.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
President Biden's American Jobs Plan would invest in clean energy jobs, move the country towards clean power, and create millions of good-paying jobs for families like yours. It's the most progressive plan to create American jobs in decades. Members of Congress need to hear that this plan would help you and your family. Join Move On's fight to help working families. Text ACT to 668-366 to join Move On. Message and data rates may apply. Paid for by MoveOn.org Civic Action.
America, your children have an amazing superpower. They can help save lives by not having play dates. That's right. By replacing get-togethers with virtual play dates and video chats, they can help slow the evil spread of germs. And if your superheroes do go outside, make sure they continue their superhero wing by staying 6 feet away from others to protect everyone in America land. Find out more at coronavirus.gov. A message from the CDC and the Ad Council.
The tear gas changed the crowd's demeanor. There was an air of disbelief as people realized that the police whom they supported were firing on them. What are you doing? We support you, someone yelled. All of a sudden, pro-police people felt the police were attacking them, and they didn't know why. The pro-police crowd went from disbelief and confusion to anger.
The police instigated the crowd, right? The police were the oppressors here. So, Ron, Black Lives Matter?
I don't know, but I'm suspicious.
Listen to Devil's Advocates weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m.
A lot of talk about the COVID-19 vaccines, and everyone has an opinion. So I went to somebody I already trusted, my doctor. Talk to your doctor or healthcare provider and make the decision that's right for you. Go to getvaccineanswers.org for the latest information. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates. They refuse to do math on the radio.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. You can always join us. We love it when you do at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, you and I talking during the break here briefly. Should the presentation, the public case laid out by Letitia James, should that affect me? The New York AG laid out the case against Cuomo, and I hadn't seen it. I had just seen the accusations, the allegations, in black and white
print, right?
And, I found a rationale and a reason to be the contrarian. Say, put down your heels, Cuomo, at least wait out the week. You can always resign. You can always reserve the right to resign later. You don't have to resign on day one. At least
you can't take it back if you resign, right?
At least see which way the wind is blowing.
I think we know which way the wind's blowing.
It's a stiff wind.
Yeah.
And in part, that's because of the presentation of the prosecutor, the public case being made.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I just had a differing feeling. Her impact on me. I'm like, oh man, this guy's guilty as hell. Allegedly. You know what I'm saying? But I completely had a differing impression after hearing Letitia James lay this out. And if there's any encouragement, I don't take any glee in the downfall of Andrew Cuomo, and apparently he's going down.
Well, and I'm thoroughly disappointed. I literally, as a person that what he showed during the pandemic, I thought was stable, reliable, empathetic, intelligent leadership, and that's going to be a shame that we no longer are going to have that. But oh well, he's not the only one.
You know what I'm very encouraged about?
There are more.
The competence of the prosecutor, knowing she's the same prosecutor, probably going after Trump. So let's lay it out. If you missed it last night, if you didn't tune into MSNBC, and we didn't have this sound yet yesterday, or we would have played it then. Cut number 40, the New York Attorney General. Oh, is this on?
No, that's from yesterday. No, it's from yesterday.
Oh, yesterday being today. I guess we could have had it. Play it for the people. Cut 40.
The independent investigation has concluded that Governor Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed multiple women, and in doing so violated federal and state law.
More from Letitia James. Cut 41, please.
The investigation found that Governor Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed current and former New York State employees by engaging in unwelcome and non-consensual touching and making numerous offensive comments of a suggestive and sexual nature.
He didn't know you couldn't do that. More from the Attorney General of New York. It starts piling on here. Cut 42, please.
The investigators independently corroborated and substantiated these facts through interviews and evidence, including contemporaneous notes.
More from the Attorney General. Cut 43, please.
They reviewed more than 74,000 pieces of evidence, including documents, emails, texts, audio files, and pictures.
More from Letitia James on Cuomo. This from yesterday, cut 44.
The independent investigation found that Governor Cuomo sexually harassed multiple women, many of whom were young women, by engaging in unwanted groping, kisses, hugging, and by making inappropriate comments.
Now, Dom, you did bring a lot of attention to the point that Cuomo was accused of retaliating against one of these employees as well. Letitia James brings up that point yesterday. Cut 45, please.
The governor and his senior team took actions to retaliate against at least one former employee for coming forward with her story.
You know, if Chris Christie's team got off for Bridgegate, I don't know how anybody's going down. One more from Letitia James. I found this very powerful. Cut 46.
Governor Cuomo's administration fostered a toxic workplace that enabled harassment and created a hostile work environment where staffers did not feel comfortable coming forward with complaints about sexual harassment due to a climate of fear and given the power dynamics.
You know, it's going to be hard. And I know that Cuomo's claiming bias. And I know Trump's claiming political bias partisan witch hunt. But this woman, very, very competent. And since I've seen this, and Cuomo, entirely inadequate. We talked about the lack of contrition. I mean, that was one of the worst public reactions he could have possibly had. If you were going to bunker down, you at least have to acknowledge, I'm going off to a place to make myself a better
Your Honor,
man.
I'm going to rehab. Before
I have
the
a
trial
sex addiction. I've been on the booze.
I was late for the train. It's like the Blues Brothers. Something. There's always something to say.
Well, other than, I'm a huggy guy. Ciao, Bella. But
it's so offensive to me, man, because I say ciao, Bella, and I give hugs, but I'm not grabbing ass and I'm not grabbing on breasts, and it's certainly not in the workplace environment. I'm not rubbing my hands up and down their back. I'm not asking what people are wearing or why you're wearing that. I mean, there's some of the details in here. He asked a state trooper if he could kiss her, and she was thinking, not fearing, according to the Post, what would happen if she refused. She froze and responded, sure. She was then hired onto the team. Cuomo also told the state trooper that his criteria for a girlfriend was someone who could handle the pain, according to the Attorney General's report. The governor touched the trooper inappropriately on several occasions, running his finger up and down her spine when he was standing behind her on an elevator in New York City office, according to the report. Another episode, he allegedly ran his hand across the trooper's stomach as she held the door for him at an event in Long Island. Her quote, "I felt completely violated because to me, that's between my chest and my privates," the trooper testified, adding, "But I'm here to do a job. Just here to do a job. And that's what you got to put up with. That's the problem."
Is he bragging about, let's say, his hand size? My prediction, pain, more devil's advocates.
Under pressure.
No, honest. I ran out of gas. I had a flat tire. I didn't have enough money for cab fare. My tux didn't come back from the cleaners. An old friend came in from out of town. Someone stole my car. There was an earthquake, a terrible flood, locust. It wasn't my fault, I swear to God.
Have you ever been in a Turkish prison?
Taking on Radio Whitey Talk Radio on both sides of the dial, from Cross Plains to Cottage Grove. Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
Chad's Design Build is proud to sponsor the Summer of Love on Devil Radio. We are committed to our community to demand better for each and every person. Doing the right thing isn't necessarily easy or inexpensive, but when we take the time to listen and learn, we can build a better community. Thoughtful remodeling is a lot like building an effective, progressive coalition. It takes patience, intelligence, and love. Experience helps too. Thank you, Joe Biden, and thank you, Devil Radio. On behalf of Chad's Design Build, here's to the Summer of Love.
Greetings, everyone. This is Nate Tim inviting you to my new show, Lay of the Land, about life and politics in rural Wisconsin. Please join me at 7 p.m. Thursday, August 5th for ideas, guests, and conversation.
Troubles. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. Demands for New York Governor Andrew Cuomo to resign are on the increase after an investigation found 11 women alleging he sexually harassed them. One of them, Charlotte Bennett, was on NBC's Today Show.
He said he was lonely. He said he was looking for a girlfriend. He was propositioning me for sex.
State Assembly leaders have signaled to Cuomo he could quickly be impeached and brought to trial. Genesis Healthcare, with 70,000 employees staffing 400 nursing homes and senior communities across the country, has told workers this week they will have to get COVID-19 vaccinations to keep their jobs. The latest major employer mandating vaccinations. The Dixie Fire at 428 square miles, the largest in California, has jumped some containment lines, forcing evacuation orders for an additional 15,000 people in Northern California. Strong winds and continued dry weather adding to concerns about the wildfires. I'm Tim McGuire.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 or more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. A CGM can immediately reduce pain. It's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Plus, get free shipping, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. Call now to receive your new continuous glucose monitor at little or no out-of-pocket cost.
Paid for by U.S. Medical Supply.
Call 800-611-6638. That's 800-611-6638. Again, 800-611-6638. That's 800-611-6638.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. Yesterday, Governor Tony Evers announced he is directing $10 million in additional federal stimulus funds to Wisconsin's tourism industry. The funds will be available through grants that regional groups will be able to apply for to address projects like convention centers and attractions that suffered throughout the pandemic. To date, Governor Evers has announced allocation for just over $900 million of the $2.5 billion of Wisconsin's allotment of federal stimulus funds. The Madison City Council voted yesterday against zoning changes for a redevelopment proposal that would have torn down the Wonder Bar and Coliseum Bar on East Olin Avenue. Forecast of patches of fog this morning, turning to partly cloudy to sunny skies throughout the day and a high of 83 degrees. Light and variable winds expected this evening with partly cloudy skies and an overnight low of 61 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. Tom and Cruz are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. I don't say it often, but Dominic was probably like 60% right. And I was no more than, let's call it, 39.8% right.
Okay, man.
So anyways, I have no regrets. No haste to call for the resignation of Cuomo on date number 1. This just dropped. Cuomo already had his rebuttal out there, and it was terrible. And Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, I find her quite impressive, and I can't wait till she's prosecuting Trump in some courtroom. But anyways, with a night to review and a good night's sleep, I'm going to say probably should resign.
But now the question is, does he?
No.
He's
already made that choice. Not in the short run.
Well, I don't know if he'll go through an impeachment, though. I mean, if he's going to have any, because if you're going to have any,
worked out okay for Trump
legs left over. But Trump is in charge of a cult. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and they're gonna worship him. They've shown this. Trump led the insurrection. They're still going to follow that. Even if they believe they don't, they're going to use Trump for their political gain. If that's what it takes for them to get elected, so be it. But that's not the people who elected Cuomo in New York. I'm just saying those are not the same kinds of voters, and I don't think that they're going to blindly follow him. Again, the registered voters, 63%, the majority of Dems think he should resign, and if not, he'll be impeached. And I don't know, knowing the president is against him, knowing his entire state delegation is against him, and the whole legislature is against him, and now the registered voters have come out thoroughly against him. Why drag it out? To what end? So I think he'll see the writing on the wall sooner than later. Because why? Politically, tell me why.
Here's the because. The Republicans, it's so irritating to me. Stages for spite, not to spite the women, but to spite the Republicans because they're so freaking hypocritical. Lots of politicians have survived potentially worse than this, Trump being perhaps the prime example. And we may not like that, but a guy like Cuomo, obviously, he's a legacy.
I mean, survival.
The old man's the governor. He's the
And
governor.
if you're alive today, you're surviving. If you're dead tomorrow, well, that's in the future. You don't have to worry about it. I mean, every day Trump is not in jail, he's surviving. Every day he's not indicted, he's surviving. But until he is,
but
right?
Every day that Cuomo remains the governor of New York, he remains the governor of New York. He's got the bully pulpit. He can go make his case in the public and the media.
Yeah, he did that. How's that working out for him?
Well, he can continue doing that. He can refine his message.
He's a lame duck. No one wants him there. And the longer he sticks around, the greater damage he does to whatever legacy he may think he has, certainly within the Democratic Party.
Are we worried about legacy at this point? I mean, really?
I mean, but so what is
Cuomo legacy?
I mean, I'm not Cuomo.
I'm more concerned about his brother's legacy as a journalist.
No. Don't even
Chris Cuomo. I've lost a lot of respect for that guy. I mean, Chris Cuomo apparently has been a war room manager on behalf of the brother, telling him what to do and what to say.
Or at least involved in those conversations, similar to what Hillary and Bill when they were running their war room on these issues. I mean, but listen, I don't watch Cuomo's show on CNN. I'm not a big fan.
Is not supposed to be James Carville on behalf of his very political brother.
Well, that's ultimately
Chris
up to
Cuomo,
CNN to decide how they want their host to be. I mean, that's their call. And I think they're going to continue to have some issues if Cuomo continues to stick around. I mean, come on.
If your brother or sister or anyone in your family is accused of, let's just say, these sort of charges, and you were advising them, and they showed up and did a press conference like yesterday, you'd be fired. What kind of crappy advice was that?
Pretty terrible.
So if that's what Chris told him to do, I got to worry. I got to concern myself.
Well, I don't remember all the
Cuomo
details. I remember
Chris Cuomo,
the CNN journalist.
I have little or no respect left for the guy.
And because he assisted his brother and the war room strategies to deal with this while not telling CNN or the audience at CNN that this is what he was doing.
Yeah, that and the whole series of the Broham interviews that happened during the coronavirus, it got to be a little too much. He lost me. I haven't turned on CNN in months. I mean, I don't know if Wolf Blitzer's breaking news at this very second. I just don't turn CNN on that much.
And that's because of that Chris Cuomo and Andrew Cuomo love fest they had on.
It's terrible.
We weren't a fan of that. My understanding, Cuomo apologized, but I understand some other journalists at CNN were pretty pissed off about it. I mean, this was I mean, this puts them, all journalists, in a poor light, especially those
and it's
that
not
were working
like
at CNN.
Hasn't been targeted by the prior administration for their lapses in credibility, let's say. Crooked CNN. CNN sucks. I mean, if I worked at CNN, I'd have a little chip on my shoulder. I'd want to uphold the integrity of my workplace. Now, I don't know what they're doing over on Fox or Newsmax, but over at CNN, isn't it supposed to be facts first, or is that MSNBC?
That's the observation I've had about Chris Cuomo, is that I felt like he was a respected journalist in a respected journalist position, and he just wanted to be Joe Rogan. You know what I mean? Like he's way at the top of this mountain over here, but no, I just want to be the bro podcast guy over here. And like, why are you aspiring to look down? He should be aspiring to more.
Could have been something more.
That's how I always felt about Chris Cuomo.
Yes, the journalism thing and how CNN handled that and his brother handled that certainly can be criticized, and I think we're right to do so. Now, how that impacts journalism in general or CNN in the long term, well, that's their deal, man. They got to figure that out. But they're going to lose. They lost you, man. They're going to lose people if they don't take action on these issues, I think.
Well, that and the fact that they don't have Trump to prop up their ratings now. Isn't that what Trump's been claiming?
The cable news is down, not just CNN. All news is down.
Well, he doesn't point that out, but the fact that CNN, their ratings are in the crap.
When the end is nigh, everyone's paying attention. But when the end of days is pushed off a little bit, people get back to their lives.
Speaking of, I hear Mike Lindell has pushed off the end of days.
No, what?
It's not going to be Friday, August 13th.
I don't care what he says. He said Friday the 13th. I'm sticking with Friday the 13th.
That was just an earlier, sort of a cast it out there aspirational date. But now, apparently, he's not so sure. Might be in September sometime.
Damn it. I have this whole party thing planned for the great reckoning of Donald Trump being hoisted back to the White House on Friday, the 13th of August. Maybe some white horses from God will bring him there.
Real quick, raw story. I like me some raw story. David Edwards reporting, and here's the quote in the headline: "The evil is revealing itself." Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, explains why God kicked Trump out of the White House.
Oh, so God was responsible for it.
My Pillow CEO Mike Lindell suggested on Wednesday that God had orchestrated former President Donald Trump's removal from the White House so that the nation could see the evil of the election system. That we've got to get rid of elections, Dom.
They're evil.
In an interview on Real America's Voice, host Steve Bannon, you remember that alleged Florida meth head, asked Lindell if his so-called cyber symposium to prove Trump won the election was spiritual warfare.
I don't even know what those things mean. A cyber symposium and a spiritual warfare.
Well, the cyber symposium, that's where, Lindell brought a bunch of people together, booked like 800 hotel rooms, and then offered a $5 million bounty for anyone that could prove the election was stolen. And no one took the bounty very seriously, but apparently he had this very expensive symposium. And, when less people attended, I'm not even sure what the turnout was, but apparently somewhere during the course of the symposium, he decided August 13th, a little premature. It's going to have to push back to September, perhaps.
God's really busy right now.
But let me get back to this just for a minute. Steve Bannon asked Lindell if his so-called cyber symposium to prove Trump won the election was spiritual warfare. 100% Lindell agreed. It all comes to a head this last year. This is a spiritual battle of epic proportions.
What?
When we get through this, even non-believers, talking to you, Salvia, there's going to be so many people coming to Jesus. This will be the biggest revival in history because you're going to see miracles unfold. Political miracles.
No.
Oh my God.
Like Trump went in the state of Wisconsin in 2016, a little bit more. This is the battle we're in, and all these pieces. When we look back on, you're going to be able to look back and say, wow, this all had to happen to get to where we're going to, this glorious place. So, it's going to have a happy ending, I understand. Lindell recalled that he was asked by one media outlet, why would God let this happen? Clearly not a just God, Dom. How could a just God let Trump lose a rigged election?
No religion, no anything. Hurt the Bible, hurt God.
You're hurting God right now, Crudy.
A little bit more from Lindell. It is Devil Radio, man. Suck it, God, in this case. Now I'm sort of moving. I was out at the tower site earlier today. I was looking up at the high 350-foot tower where our FM's located, and I'm thinking, please don't strike me dead with lightning, God. So, I'm just doing it for the show's sake. God.
Yeah, right.
Work with me on this.
It's all
one.
an act.
Lindell said, you're in the spiritual battle of good and evil. And think what's happened since the election. If we wouldn't have caught this and all the things happened, all the things we're going through, it wouldn't have revealed all the evil. The evil is revealing itself. It's just amazing. It's popping up all over like pocket gophers.
What?
Is that similar to whack-a-moles? Dominic, according to Lindell, liberals were blinded, but now their eyes are being opened. I hope we're opening all your eyes right now.
I want you to kill every gopher on the course.
If we kill all the gophers, you're going to lock me up and throw away the key.
We need to pray that God gives us grace. And it looks like we're going to get that because all of these things that are happening.
All these things that we've done.
Many things.
Many things. Many things. What a crackpot. So literally he thinks spiritual warfare, that this is God and the devil fighting out right now. And Trump was sent by God and God made Trump lose. So we, and they talk about you and me, Crudy. Well,
it's happening right here on the radio.
We're on a mission from God.
Yeah.
I will be God's representative, and you can serve the Dark Master.
I'm God, Crudy.
You're your own God.
No, I'm your God.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, you didn't know
What
that?
if God was one of us?
Is this going to require tithing of some sort?
Absolutely. Some virgins, maybe.
My God is a socialist guy who shares the women, the wine, the weed, and the mint stuff. You want to give that all up?
A spiritual battle of epic proportions. When we get through this, even the non-believers, there's going to be so many people coming to Jesus. The pillow guy. How did this guy pop up into political conversation ever in the first place? You know what I mean? Why the pillow guy? Why not the mattress guy, right? How about the tennis shoe guy? How about anybody else? Why is Lindell part of the political conversation in this world? Was he like a former crackhead that, right? I mean,
former crackhead made good.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Congratulations, you dropped the crack and picked up some other addiction. Lying your ass off and just being a huckster. Come on, what?
Well,
and he's an advisor to Trump, right?
Because the My Pillows, they kind of suck. If it weren't for the superlatives, best pillow ever, no one would buy the My Pillow because they're terrible pillows. Allegedly. Come back with us. Greatest radio show ever. Allegedly.
Totally true.
Chock full of superlatives and your phone calls next. 844-967-2789.
What if God was one of us?
I don't believe in evolution. I believe in God.
When someone asks you if you're a god, you say, yes!
I am the God of hellfire, and I bring you. I am the chosen one.
Get that every time.
Reservations at your favorite restaurant.
I've been trying to introduce gluten. You don't want to know why. Thanks so much for waiting. Your table's ready.
Getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed.
Perfect. Thanks.
Get the latest info about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
President Biden's American Jobs Plan would invest in clean energy jobs, move the country towards clean power, and create millions of good-paying jobs for families like yours. It's the most progressive plan to create American jobs in decades. Members of Congress need to hear that this plan would help you and your family. Join Move On's fight to help working families. Text ACT to 668-366 to join Move On. Message and data rates may apply. Paid for by MoveOn.org Civic Action.
Hi, this is Don from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
I'm not down for voter suppression in my state.
No, right. This. It's got to be easy. It was great to have these options. We should have these options. We should have days off for people to go vote. We should expand the availability, the ease of our own citizens in this country to participate in self-governance. Republicans, why are you so opposed to that?
Because they lose those elections.
Listen to Devil's Advocates weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m.
Percent of the time, they're right every time. Dom and Cruz are the Devil's Advocates.
We are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Fancy Brian on the board. Love it, man. 844-967-2789.
Dominic, I've got a story. It's too compelling not to share. here with you and Fancy Brian and our fair audience. They're not playing along, but you can at 844-967-2789. U.S. Rep Mo Brooks, the Alabama guy, the insurrectionist, sort of the warm-up act for Trump.
It's time to start kicking ass and taking names.
Well, he's still trying to weasel out of the Eric Swalwell, the civil lawsuit. And we've got an update on that.
Ooh.
Apparently, he appeared in court today. And I mean, literally, he was in court. I'll tell you all about it. U.S. Rep Mo Brooks, Republican from Alabama, is being sued by Congressman Eric Swalwell, Democrat from California, for Brooks's role in allegedly inciting the January 6th insurrection. Brooks infamously evaded being served by going to great lengths, resulting in forcing the process server to hand the papers to his wife at their home. Brooks on January 6th spoke at Trump's MAGA rally and told the estimated 12,000 attendees, "Today is the day American patriots start taking down names and kicking ass." But Brooks was also the first member of Congress to announce he would vote to overturn the election. And in December, Politico reported Brooks was spearheading the long shot push to overturn the election results in Congress, and noted he had organized a trio of White House meetings, which lasted over 3 hours, included roughly a dozen lawmakers. Now, this was reported back in December, sort of the pre-insurrection planning.
I mean, so was he meeting with the president at the White House during those three
One must
3 hours?
presume they were
9 hours with the president of the United States.
After advocating to overturn the outcome in the Congress, he got a 3-hour meeting at the White House, presumably with Trump, and included roughly a dozen lawmakers. And one must assume that doesn't include Chuck or Nancy. So I read on. The Alabama Republican congressman tried to get the Department of Justice to defend him, claiming his inciting thousands of loyal Trump cultists was part of his job as a federal government employee.
Nope.
The DOJ disagreed and refused. So now he's in court. And here's what you may not know. Brooks is an attorney, and he is reportedly representing himself, including today.
Oh, wow.
Here's what he told the judge on Wednesday in his defense, asking to be dismissed from the lawsuit per Reuters. Brooks is 67 years old. Now, understand, this is Brooks speaking.
So he's doing the Trump. He's doing third person.
Yeah. My understanding, at least as it's written here. Here are some of his defenses, Dom. Brooks has never smoked tobacco. Brooks does not consume alcohol. Brooks has never experimented with or taken illegal drugs. Well, now I think we've gotten to the root of the problem right here, Dom.
Very, very problematic. Take drugs, Danny, every day. What's the problem? I don't know.
Brooks has never been arrested or convicted of any felonies or misdemeanors. Brooks has never had a DUI, a reckless driving ticket, or even a speeding ticket. Well, he's bettered me in that regard. Got pulled over again last night. Damn it. Brooks has never had a motor vehicle wreck in which anyone claimed Brooks was at fault. So he's had a few wrecks, but never, where anyone claimed he or Brooks, this Brooks character.
This Brooks guy.
Brooks has been married 45 years. Brooks has always been faithful to his wife. Will you put your hand on the Bible and say that, Brooks? Together, they have raised 4 children, all of whom are married, none of whom have been divorced, all of whom are law-abiding, none of whom have been arrested for anything, all of whom have college degrees and jobs.
Wow.
He concludes with one curious claim. Brooks has a perfect ethics record, despite Democrats having harassed Brooks with at least 38 ethics complaints. Other than these 38 accusations made in the ethics committee against me, I have a spotless record.
I may have incited a murderous mob to sack the Capitol in the worst violence in our capital's history in over 200 years, but I don't smoke cigarettes.
Hey, you know who was a really, really nice and really, really polite guy? Ted Bundy. So nice. So I bet you he had a really good driving record too.
Did you see the memes out there? Jeffrey Dahmer wearing a Bucks and Six t-shirt.
Terrible.
So Brooks, What did they say? You know, a attorney who represents himself
Pro
as
se?
a fool for a client.
Pro se. He's going pro se, baby.
Is that what it's
Representing
called?
himself. Yes. Wow.
I prefer to hire capable and competent representation.
Congratulations. You played yourself.
I mean, this could. I mean, these are obviously very serious charges.
What
right?
you think this legal defense could backfire in some way?
It's all entirely irrelevant.
What if it's proven he has cheated on his wife, or worse yet, smoked a cigarette?
Right. Well, then he lied to the court.
Post copulation with the neighbor's wife.
Now, can he
presumably the wife?
Did he say that his client didn't tell him that? So he, Your Honor, of course he's representing himself, and he refers to himself in the third person. Very strange. I mean, I'm not surprised. It's all very strange. But the fact that that you had kids, so what? You don't drink? This is not a trial about what drugs you use. This is not a trial about whether or not you're faithful in your marriage or whether or not you're a good father. While hopefully all those things are true, what this is about is you lighten up a murderous crowd with a chant of kicking ass and taking names. That's what this is about. And you know what they did after you said that speech? They went out and they kicked some ass and they took some names.
If Brooks is guilty of anything, it's caring too much. Can you imagine doing that? Crute has never cheated on his wife. Crute, children are mostly doing okay in school and
I can't. I mean,
they claim they're trying as hard as they can.
I can't imagine anyone in that courtroom keeping a straight face when this is going on. I mean, what a disaster.
I think I think they're worried because if their kids are not doing well in school, they may be ethically liable for anything.
Crute asked the judge to tell that guy to stop giggling at me, please. Please stop laughing at me. Come back with us.
You can clap now.
I'm Crute.
I'm Dom.
That's Fancy Brian.
Fancy Brian says hi.
We are the Devil's Advocates. You can say hi. Dial us up. He'll screen you lightly. A little stop and frisk, and then onto the airwaves with us.
Dom has smoked. Dom has done drugs. Dom is a decent dad. Dom has gotten into plenty of car accidents.
Mostly Dom's fault.
Dom has never incited a crowd to attack the Capitol.
Aspirational.
Dom's been charged, never convicted.
But the night is young.
Come back with us. This show, it's still fairly young. Got a fine guest coming soon in the 3:00 hour. Mark Pocan. Plenty of time until then for your calls. More Devil's Advocates.
Today is the day American patriots start taking down names and kicking ass.
You are the ass man.
Ass man!
Hey, how's it going? Come down to 550 State Street. At Knuckleheads, we're your one-stop shop for all your CBD, glass, hookah, cigar needs. We got deals like buy 4, get 1 free on papers, cones, CBD carts. Too many things to list. Call 608-284-0151. Ask a friendly neighborhood knucklehead any questions. Or check out the website, knuckleheadcbd.com. Knuckleheads at 550 State Street. We got you covered. I'm Lando Commando, and I'll see you there.
President Biden's American Jobs Plan would invest in clean energy jobs, move the country towards clean power, and create millions of good-paying jobs for families like yours. It's the most progressive plan to create American jobs in decades. Members of Congress need to hear that this plan would help you and your family. Join MoveOn's fight to help working families. Text ACT to 668-366 to join Move On. Message and data rates may apply. Paid for by MoveOn.org Civic Action.
You are listening to WTTN Columbus, W224EG Madison, always streaming at doubleradio927.com.
I'm Tim McGuire. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is quickly losing support among members of the state assembly. At least 82 of the 150 members have said publicly or told the AP they back beginning the process to oust the third-term governor if he doesn't resign. Only a simple majority is needed to authorize an impeachment trial. Cuomo has denied making any inappropriate sexual advances towards women, insisting the findings of a lengthy investigation didn't reflect the facts. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says it's up to the 50% still unvaccinated people in the state to decide to be vaccinated, and everyone has the choice to wear or not wear a mask or social distance. He slammed President Biden for calling on him and other governors to help or get out of the way in the battle against the Delta variant.
Joe Biden suggests that if you don't do lockdown policies, then you should, quote, get out of the way. But let me tell you this. If you're coming after the rights of parents in Florida, I'm standing in your way.
37-year-old unvaccinated Cedric Daniels made a day trip to visit his 22-year-old nephew a few weeks ago in New Orleans. Daniels is slowly recovering after being hospitalized with COVID-19 following the visit.
You know, one moment you're sitting there and you're enjoying TV, and the next moment they talking about sticking tubes down your throat, possibly, if your oxygen doesn't go up within the next hour. And that is frightening.
He and his nephew, Joshua Contreras, the only two family members not vaccinated. Contreras is in another hospital in a medically induced coma on a ventilator. Doctors say if he survives, he faces a long, slow recovery. Heading into the close on Wall Street, the Dow is off by just under 1%, a 280-point drop. The Nasdaq is in positive territory, some 29 points, and the S&P 500 is off 15. This is AP News.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 or more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. A CGM can immediately reduce pain. It's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Plus, get free shipping, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. Call now to receive your new continuous glucose monitor at little or no out-of-pocket cost.
Paid for by U.S. Medical Supply.
Call 800-611-6638. That's 800-611-6638. Again, 800-611-6638. That's 800-611-6638.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
At Chaz Design Build, our tagline is building a better world, one remodeled home at a time. Simply stated, we want to be a part of the solution to leave the world better than we found it. That's why we've invested in a 20 kilowatt solar array, which provides over 90% of our electrical demand at our shop, office, and design studio. And that's why we invest in local causes which provide opportunities and which confront structural inequality. At Chad's Design Build, we are proud to partner with you, building a better world, one remodeled home at a time.
Make some room on your home screen for the greatest radio app ever. Check out the Devil Radio app in the Apple and Google Play stores today and stream the greatest radio station ever wherever you go. The Devil Radio app, streaming 24/7 right from your smartphone.
I've already guaranteed this will be my last term. I'm doing this because I want to solve these problems.
Was it problem solving when you blocked COVID relief or when you downplayed the insurrection?
I want to do it because I'm so concerned about the direction of this country. I've got something to offer.
Like becoming a hydroxychloroquine salesman?
I'll go home with a smile on my face, realizing I'd left it all in the field.
You must be exhausted.
6 years from now, I'll for sure be going home.
We'll hold you to your word, Senator. Go home.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
This is Crudy, and I recommend calling Dave and the team at Community PC to solve all your computing needs. Why do I call Community PC? Because I don't want to learn new things about tech. Because I don't want to call the manufacturer's customer service line and waste half the day of my life. Because I don't want to ask my kid for help and have him respond, okay, boomer. Just call Community PC at 608-268-7178 for their patient service. Just let Community PC fix it. 608-268-7178. Call today.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. On Tuesday, the county's top health official was joined by Madison Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway and Dane County Executive Joe Parisi at a press conference announcing the city and county will be mandating COVID-19 vaccines for all employees. The officials announced the rapid spread of the Delta variant as the cause for the mandate, and employees that are unable to show proof of vaccination will be required to test for COVID-19 weekly. Mayor Rhodes Conway and Executive Parisi also announced employees will need to wear masks while inside government buildings and encouraged other employers to take similar action. Forecast of patches of fog this morning, turning to partly cloudy to sunny skies throughout the day and a high of 83 degrees. Light and variable winds expected this evening with partly cloudy skies and an overnight low of 61 degrees. You're listening to Double Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, a happy hump day edition, because I got my little buddy right here in the broadcast bunker 2.0. Feels so good to have you right here. Dom, we've gone on the road. We've traveled all across this great country.
I've seen you naked.
Many times. You may never be the same. In a good way, though. I sincerely mean that. But here's the point. It's not the naked. That's the less important point. Unless you think it's the more important point.
You ever seen a grown man naked?
Yes, I have.
But Tom, we've gone to a number of presidential debates, and we chased the presidential cycle 2 terms in a row. I mean, all the way back to January 2015, we were in Des Moines, Iowa, chasing Trump and Scott Walker and Newt Gingrich and all the 17 or so Republicans running back then. And, then the Democrats had their cycle down. But the something uniform sort of between the 2 cycles, my love and adoration for Bernie Sanders. You know, I've been a Bernie guy since the beginning.
You have the shirt, man.
Well, I got several. Bootleg. I see you giggling. I wear them well.
They're worn.
Would you prefer to see me naked or in a Bernie bootleg?
I don't know, man.
It's like a body tattoo.
Yeah, just put the shirt on and
I know
Porky Pig for me, will you? Just the shirt.
Think about all the places we saw Bernie Sanders.
Yeah,
we saw Bernie in Washington Square Park with like 45,000 people.
Well, the very first time I recall, and I met, and he was always on Hartman's show, right? He did regular
brunches with Bernie,
regular radio hits on Progressive Talk Radio. So that's why I first kind of got a ear of him. On a regular basis. And then we did that Madison show. Remember when he came to Madison?
Yeah, he went to the Alliant Energy Center, formerly known as the Coliseum.
Oh my God.
And they packed it. I mean, the line was like a mile long to get in the place. And this was July of 2015. Bernie's polling nationally at 3 or 4%. But between appearing on Lefty Talk Radio, Tom Hartman show, and showing up for Fighting Bob Fest. He had visited and had been a frequent visitor here to the great state of Wisconsin. But Bernie did what appeared to be a rock concert. And we broadcast it live at our former Heartless radio endeavor. But we broadcast that. That was an award-winning broadcast, although someone else got the trophy. We didn't work there. The producer got the trophy. Hope you love it, Sean. I hope you keep it shiny on your desk.
Sean. That was fun. But whether it was 10, 15,000 people there, it was huge. Yeah. It was the whole floor, right? And then all the seats and up to the rafters. It was something, I've never experienced that for a political event before.
And I could walk up to Bernie at probably 15, 20 feet away, and I'm taking video of Bernie, but you could walk up to the candidate.
Yeah.
And then we saw Bernie in South Bend, Indiana. Saw Trump there, saw Ted Cruz there. We saw Bernie in Flint, Michigan. We saw Bernie in Brooklyn, New York, and the big rally he did. You know, New York, an important state for Bernie, couldn't pull it off. They had closed registrations. If you wanted to vote, you had to register way in
like a month earlier, right?
So, anyways, Bernie won the pep rally. I mean, Bernie had 45,000 people in Washington Square Park. And then, you know, perhaps I did get to interview Bernie Sanders one time, a couple of questions. And he came on our show on primary day in the state of Wisconsin in 2016. But I got to interview Bernie coming to Wisconsin as a surrogate for Hillary Clinton in 2016.
No, he did that because I think a lot of those people said that Bernie never supported him.
Well, only if you believe the Hillary people, but Hillary never came. Bernie came for Hillary.
Well, it was unfortunate. That was the Pulse nightclub shooting. They canceled and they never came
Coulda,
back.
woulda, shoulda.
I'm just saying, man.
That wasn't the only date on the calendar. She could have come to Wisconsin. She chose not to. It was a strategic decision. And in some small part, perhaps a reaction to the polls. And speaking of, we got Charles Franklin coming on tomorrow, coming in studio. I'm going to grill him. What about the polls? New Supreme Court polling coming out nationally. And then we're going to have some Wisconsin polling coming out about a week from now.
The Marquette University Law School poll.
Sort of the gold standard here. But the gold standard had Hillary beating Donald Trump. And of course, that's not the outcome that eventually came to pass.
Well, not without the voter fraud.
But in the primary, Bernie Sanders won the state by double digits.
Yes.
And, you know, I was a big Bernie guy. I'm still a big Bernie guy. I love Bernie. And Bernie loves Nina Turner, my bad. And we met Nina Turner all across the country. We saw her in Columbus, Ohio. She was there as a surrogate in the spin room on behalf of Bernie. We saw her all across the country. She was at Vegas. We were in Vegas. We were in the spin room there. And at that time, it looked like Bernie was going to run the table. He's going to be the nominee. And then the establishment, they kind of rose up and they got behind Joe Biden. And Joe Biden eventually became our president. And Joe Biden won the state we broadcast from by about 20,000 votes. And if anyone wonders, I went all in for Joe Biden. I mean, there was no doubt. Joe Biden or Donald Trump. It was an easy choice.
Very easy choice.
So, you know, be no qualms that we didn't support Joe Biden enough here in the state of Wisconsin. But now, Dom, there seems to be a backlash against Bernie Sanders. And certainly there's a backlash against Nina Turner. E.J. Dijon Jr., my bad, Washington Post, wrote an article and he talked about the race. There was a race, a special election, at least a primary thereof. And whoever won the primary, effectively, the Democratic primary, is going to serve that district in Ohio. And it kind of pitted the Hillary candidate versus the Bernie candidate. And last night, it was the Hillary candidate that won. And the headline here, the opinion piece, E.J. Dion Jr., the lesson from Ohio. Democrats want to fight Trump, not Biden. It should not surprise anyone that grassroots Democrats are united behind the president who defeated Donald Trump and wary of candidates who seem more interested in fighting Joe Biden than advancing his agenda. This is why Cuyahoga County Councilwoman Chantel Brown defeated former Ohio State Senator Nina Turner in Tuesday's special Democratic primary election in the U.S. House seat centered on Cleveland. Brown, 46, had backing from much of the National Democratic Party. As the down-the-line supporter of the president, Turner, 53, is a progressive hero, but you could argue she lost the race back in 2020 when she likened voting for Biden to eating half a bowl of excrement, not the word she used. In 2016, Turner declined to support Hillary Clinton against Trump. It didn't help Turner's cause that at a June event for her, the rapper Killer Mike suggested it was stupid for House Majority Whip James Clyburn to have endorsed Biden in last year's presidential primaries. Last month, Clyburn wryly told a South Carolina newspaper that he got involved on Brown's behalf when I was invited by the Turner campaign. See what he did there, Dom? I mean, Clyburn turned the presidential primary. And here's a guy who's, if he didn't have clout, or if we didn't realize that this congressman from South Carolina had this sort of clout, he delivered for Joe Biden.
Yes, he did.
And then Joe Biden, got some endorsements and swung through Super Tuesday. And what looked like a early advantage for Bernie Sanders was soon erased off the scoreboard, and the pandemic shut it all down. Didn't even bother to campaign in the state of Wisconsin. There was no primary contest. I mean, hell, it was over by like April 1st. So anyways.
Yeah, I got some more of this here, Curdy, again from the Washington Post. Brown's success is being described as a victory of the establishment over insurgents and of a moderate over a progressive. Though partially true, the shorthand misses as much as it reveals. The divisiveness of Turner's rhetoric aimed at others in her party goes far beyond where most progressive Democrats are. And with the Trump specter still lurking, the 11th Congressional District's primary voters decided to reward the candidate focused on cooperating with a Democratic administration whose success is a precondition to routing Trumpism for good. Anyone doubting that the former president remains a radicalizing force within the GOP should consider the results of the other major Ohio congressional primary on Tuesday. The Trump-endorsed candidate, Mike Carey, 50, a coal industry lobbyist, overwhelmed a talented field of 10 other Republicans. Kerry won 37% of the vote in a district outside of Columbus. His nearest competitor, endorsed by Steve Stivers, the popular GOP congressman whose departure forced the special election, got just over 13%. Yeah, that's an ass kicking. It needs to be repeated until it really sinks in. If you look at primary results over the past 5 years, Democrats remain the party in which more moderate candidates can prevail. Republicans, even when they opt against a Trump-endorsed candidate here or there, are much further to the right than Democrats are to the left. But something else is true too. Turner's defeat does not mean that progressive Democrats are crushed. To use the sort of language popular on Wednesday, progressives remain an important force in the Democratic Party, but as part of a broader coalition. They succeed when they act as critics inside the tent. They fail when they are seen as bringing down the tent. Ironically, Turner's defeat came on the same day that another progressive Democrat, Rep. Cori Bush of Missouri, won a big policy victory in pushing the Biden administration to reimpose a partial moratorium on evictions. Bush's one person sleeping on the steps of the Capitol to dramatize, thank you, the plight of the homeless was part of a broad effort by liberals and the left to get the administration to act after it first said executive action to protect tenants would likely be overturned by the Supreme Court. Even if this turns out to be true, it was a mistake for Biden to resist offering protection for the neediest as COVID-19 numbers rise again.
I think the next paragraph important, I'm going to finish up here, that Biden responded to the pressure is a textbook illustration of how the Democratic Party now works. Progressives can win a lot of ground from policies that are popular by playing an inside-outside game. And the line between the establishment and progressives are blurry. See House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and others. Come back with us. See the devil's advocates. Rich wants to see us do a live show from a nudist camp outside of Tucson. Well, you can go to Dom's OnlyFans site and see that for $10. Come back, more devils.
I beat the socialists. That's how I got elected.
Congratulations for staying awake all day.
I did what I came to do.
You're wrong.
I'm Satan reincarnated.
Mike, that's a very good question.
I'm not a big fan of righty-whitey talk radio, but if I'm going to tune in even for an hour a day, I really wish they'd have a live host. You know, they've still got a Rush Limbaugh show, and the guy's been dead for a couple months.
Playing like best of Dead Rush.
Do you know how weird that is? I make you this promise, Dom, after I'm dead, you don't have to keep playing my sound bites. Although I'm hoping you go first.
The Devil's Advocates, weekdays from 2 to 5.
President Biden's American Jobs Plan would invest in clean energy jobs, move the country towards clean power, and create millions of good-paying jobs for families like yours. It's the most progressive plan to create American jobs in decades. Members of Congress need to hear that this plan would help you and your family. Join Move On's fight to help working families. Text ACT to 668-366 to join Move On. Message and data rates may apply. Paid for by MoveOn.org Civic Action.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
The former president, the fact that he needed to drop a press release to call the horse a junkie.
The horse came from a broken home. I heard he was sold for like $1,000, born on a dirt patch. Then the pressure, the constant, the training over and over. I mean, really not getting to have a normal childhood and grow up and hang out with their other little horsey friends. Then one of those days, walked down the wrong alley and first one's free. And after that, it was all downhill from there.
Dom, that's why they call it horse.
Listen to Devil's Advocates weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines open. Going to them next at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, did Nina Turner get handed her lunch last night about what was it, like a 4% loss, about 4,000 vote loss in the special election in Ohio? Did she lose because of what she said about President Joe Biden?
I'd like to.
She's a very compelling candidate.
No, she's certainly,
met her.
She certainly
she's
is
personally charismatic.
If
that's her district.
I think certainly given what some of the opinion writings are there, I'm not familiar with the district, right? So I'm not clear how progressive or establishment, Democratic this district is. But if we just look at what we know,
We got to go
Nina
back
Turner,
to the Winkin Lizard in Cleveland.
Exactly.
Then you'll know for sure.
So it certainly doesn't help, right? I think you're talking about, a fight within the party, a primary within the party. And ultimately, you got Joe Biden as the president. So it's not, you don't have Bernie Sanders. So, if you read the room, perhaps that had something to do with it. Now, does that impact? If you're going to say voting for Joe Biden is like, what'd you say, eating a bowl of crap or something along those lines? Yeah, that's a
bowl of doggy do with
the
cherry on top.
She didn't endorse, Hillary over Trump. So those can be problematic, certainly for your establishment type Dems. So yeah, certainly that created some headwind for her. But again, I think generally speaking, I think this would be probably true for other political parties as well. The majority of people are not going to be on the far right or far left. The majority of people are going to be in, the middle of the bell curve, right? And so you're going to have, if that's where the people are, you either need to, bring them along to your side, convince them, or you need to adapt perhaps some of your philosophies to help, match what is being craved by the electorate.
Do you remember Simone Sanders? She was very involved in the political cycle back in 2016.
Yeah.
To my memory, she was supportive of Bernie Sanders. And then she came out and she supported Joe Biden in 2020. And if you look at the divergence of Simone Sanders and Nina Turner, I would say the one that got on the Bernie coattails, it's sad for me to say, didn't go as far. Simone Sanders, I believe, is part of the Biden administration at this point. She is the chief spokesperson and senior advisor for VP Kamala Harris. So, that's moving on up, if you will, Dom. She picked the right horse. She got on the right campaign.
Quickly, Curdy, the Washington Post regarding this race, a piece, I guess this is from yesterday, entitled "Liberal Wing Candidate Loses in Ohio Democratic Primary." Just a couple paragraphs here. Brown, the victor here, expressed support for the same agenda as Turner, but said her opponent wouldn't be as effective. She also ran ads featuring the mother of Housing and Urban Development Secretary Marcia Fudge, who held the seat until joining Biden's cabinet, as a way of telling voters that the popular ex-congresswoman had a favorite in the race. Brown said this: "I don't have to start with a long letter of apology, citing the great relationships she's had with Washington Democrats. And that is a big difference in making sure that we can bring home the bacon to people who are counting on us." So as a political adversary to Turner, yeah, that would certainly had an impact on it. She was playing on it.
Just to verify, and I looked it up, Simone Sanders joined the Bernie Sanders campaign back in August of 2015. She was his national press secretary. And then she got on the Biden bus, riding with Biden all the way to the, to the VPs, to the VP staff.
But do you think this it's a primary, man. I mean, you got Democrats fighting against each other to try to win the race. I mean, I don't know. Does it necessarily have to mean anything more than just that's who won that race at that time? I mean, you're always going to have, not always, but we are in the situation where, and you're going to have different factions of different political groups.
I think it does matter. I think we're starting to see a trend. As progressive as I find myself, I know that I've been punished for being supportive of Bernie Sanders, too much so. There are those that believe, it's Bernie or it's Hillary. We're still fighting this battle in some way, shape, or form, Dom. And then, Hillary's campaign became, and I'm not saying they're equitable, but the Hillary supporters became Biden supporters. Joe is emblematic of the Democratic Party, the true blue Democratic Party.
The old school legacy party. Yes,
and
no
Bernie
question.
Sanders was an interloper of sorts, obviously a Democratic socialist, independent who caucused with the Dems, but wasn't really on the team.
Yeah,
but
to
he
join the
couldn't
party.
win.
Didn't you have to join the party to run for the presidency?
That's what you got to do, man. Pay the $25.
Well, right,
at the door.
but he had not done that before, although he was certainly caucusing with them.
And again, the moral of the earlier story I told is that Bernie Sanders did come and do the right thing. And I think Bernie Sanders often does the right thing. He was campaigning for Nina Turner. He is certainly supportive of the candidates that are supportive of him.
And while not the president, certainly has an influential role in his position right now.
But I would say Hillary Clinton was excellent at swapping favors and earning favors and political chips. And it showed in the superdelegate count. She had made a lifetime of making political deals and earning political clout. And Bernie Sanders never was that guy. Kind of like me.
That's why you see a little bit of yourself there, Curtis.
I do. The
a little bit of an outsider, want to do the right thing.
Bad hair.
Fighting upstream the whole time.
Yeah, Don Quixote style, man. It's the only way to do it. You know what? But Bernie's been fighting the good fight for 40 plus years. And Bernie's been right on damn near every policy issue. So if I am wrong with Bernie, so be it. Come back with us. That'd be the right thing to do. I feel pretty confident. Joining us on the phone would make you even better in my eyes. No Ohio voters in the audience. Maybe there are. I bet they would have voted for Nina. Come back with us. We'll find out. 844-967-2789. More Devil's Advocates.
Don't ask me to get inside the mind of a liberal, progressive, socialist, Marxist.
Good heavens. Are you still trying to win? Go home.
In time, you will know the true power of Devil Radio 92.7. It is your destiny.
Are you interested in channeling your creative passions into a podcast? Maybe you've always wanted to start one, but you didn't know how. Chris here from the On the Bus podcast. Devil Radio is the perfect podcast platform for you motherfuckers out there in Radio Land.
Dude, you can't say that shit on the air.
What, I can't say
No.
I can say on the podcast. I can't say here.
Yeah, but FCC on the air, man.
To learn more about how the Devil Radio team can help you make your podcast a reality, give them a call at 608-819-8255 or check out devilradio927.com.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
5 your local single source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 5
Virus update. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. The Dow fell 303 points today. Renters who have not been able to pay their rent because of the pandemic get a new eviction moratorium until early October. The Biden administration and members of Congress are hoping the additional time will allow more of the renters to collect the more than $40 billion in federal funds designed to pay off their back rent. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
The money is there. We in Congress provided it. I want to call out my state of New York, which has done a poor job at distributing this money.
There are concerns among advocates that judges, especially in rural areas, may ignore the new CDC moratorium. Already, a lawyer in North Carolina says a judge refused to accept it as a defense because the state administrative office of the courts has yet to provide any guidance. Cumbersome state and local bureaucracies prevented the distribution of the tens of billions of dollars available. I'm Tim McGuire.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 or more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. A CGM can immediately reduce pain. It's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Plus, get free shipping, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. Call now to receive your new continuous glucose monitor at little or no out-of-pocket cost.
Paid for by U.S. Medical Supply.
Call 800-611-6638. That's 800-611-6638. Again, 800-611-6638. That's 800-611-6638.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. Yesterday, the University of Wisconsin-Madison announced it will reinstate the campus's indoor mask mandate for all students, employees, and visitors. The new campus order will be in place until further notice due to the rise in new cases fueled by the spreading Delta variant of COVID-19. The new rule comes despite a vote by the Wisconsin Legislature's Rules Committee yesterday, stating that any UW system school will need to receive approval from the GOP-led committee before enforcing any campus rules in regard to COVID-19 mitigation. Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul joined 21 other Democratic attorneys general this week in calling on Congress to pass legislation that would protect states across the country from voter suppression and election subversion. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Kicking ass and taking names since the Wisconsin uprising. Tom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Happy Wednesday. So down below later in this segment, we're expecting Congressman Mark Pocan, my congressman, our friend. He'll join us live via phone. In the meantime, you can carry us through to the interview at 844-967-2789. And Mark left as the caucus co-chair of the Progressive Caucus in the House of Representatives. And I would say progressivism is dead.
You don't mean that.
Why?
I know you, man.
I think
you're just being hyperbolic, man.
The Joe Biden Democrats, the Hillary Democrats have killed progressivism. They have been victorious over progressivism. Party over progress.
You're going to be dead.
Yeah.
Well,
the
how do you explain
didn't
AOC defeat some long-standing old dog that's been there forever?
Well, now she's the incumbent.
Okay,
so a couple of cycles ago. But that energy is dead. Centrist or bust. You hear those blue dogs barking, Dom?
Turner and Brown. Oh, hang on, callers. We'll get you in just a minute. 844-967-2789. Turner and Brown, according to the Post, closed the campaign with a flurry of attacks, with one ad from Turner citing a potential probe into Brown's contracting on the city council, with an image of jail doors slamming to suggest Brown could end up in prison. While Turner's surrogates attacked Brown for the donations she and her supportive PAC had gotten from Republicans. Why is it that the drug companies and the insurance companies and the fossil fuel industry and Wall Street and people who supported Donald Trump are pouring millions of dollars into this campaign to defeat Nina Turner? Sanders asked. They know that when she is elected, she is going to stand up and take them on in the fight for justice.
The diminished Bernie Sanders. I mean, other than the fact he's the budget committee chair, that's an important role for an individual senator. But, he's lost some street cred, Dom. Doesn't have the juice he used to have.
Really? So if Trump's person doesn't win, does Trump lose street cred?
Yes.
So everyone's got to win that you endorse. Otherwise, you have no street cred.
You better be better than 80 or 90%.
Well, I would just say, listen, man, the Democratic Party certainly needs the progressive movement, man. It was the progressive movement that made the White House and forced Pelosi to act on this eviction moratorium, right? That was a progressive move. That was Cory Bush, the progressive.
And what her hometown paper saying in editorial, they basically told her to shut up and legislate. Stop the grandstanding. Stop the stunts. The St. Louis paper said that about, the freshman congressman from St. Louis.
Did they endorse her in the first place?
I'm not clear.
So well, that's an interesting tidbit. I'm not clear that really means anything other than
there were. How much wronger could they have been? They said effectively, you can't change the world through your own specific actions. One person can't change anything, but she did. She did, at least on one issue.
Well, she was very instrumental, and as were others as well. And ultimately, the CDC has now come out, and whether or not this moratorium will stand, the courts will have their say. But at the end of the day, there will be some relief, at least in the meantime, while the courts figure out what's going on. But to stand up and say, progressivism is dead, is to say, like when a Trumpster loses, Trumpism is dead, we're all good to go. The moderate Republican won. Well, no, that's not the case. That's not the case.
Well, there are no moderate Republicans, and I would say Bernie Sanders won. He won the battle of policy. I mean, Medicare for all is a litmus test for many progressives, many Democrats now. Are you for it or against it?
Right here in the state of Wisconsin, this is a policy,
in this U.S. senatorial race, that has been the question. All the campaigns are challenging each other. Where do you stand on Medicare for all?
And those are questions we've asked these candidates as well. And some of them are for expanded ACA and some are for Medicare for all.
But in 2015, this wasn't as popular a notion. It was sort of a fringe, progressive, liberal, Bernie notion. And then he mainlined it. So his politics play on Main Street. His politics are very popular.
Is that now then a progressive thought if it's been mainlined in the Democratic Party? You know what I'm saying? If it all of a sudden now is accepted by more people than the fringe of before within the Democratic Party, does that now move it into, well, now it's establishment thought?
Well, Joe's become pragmatic and malleable enough that he's adopted some of the progressive policies, but he ain't no Bernie Sanders.
Well, but do you think he would have been even accepting of that and being malleable if it were not for the pressure from the progressives that are there now, than for the efforts of Bernie Sanders and the like, and the folks that he has motivated, not only in running for office, but also in guys like you, Crudy. I mean, and guys like me. He's influenced us in the way that we think that I perhaps would not have had the same thought 20 years ago.
Progressivism is dead. 844-967-2789.
Come on.
Pizza Box Mike, near and dear, friend of ours. How you doing, buddy? What do you got?
Hey, Mike.
Well, progressivism was killed in Wisconsin, but we're going to try and revive it. But no, man, go back to 2020, all right? And the Progressive Caucus increased after the election, and the conservative Dems decreased. That's where we lost. We lost seats with the I Got Mine crowd. And that's what they are. And that's the worst part about the Democratic Party is it's the I Got Mine crowd versus, say, Cory Bush, that's grandstanding, sleeping outside to stand up for people that are about to be homeless or might be kicked out, or people that are already homeless. And remember, that's where she was once, right? So there's a connection there. Why is it that people that have so much and have always had so much and have never felt any of that, why is it they have no empathy or understanding, right? They're disconnected to it. And as far as Nina Turner goes, the only reason why it's divisive is because everything she said is true. And you guys know that. I know that. You don't see people running and jumping to support this radio station, do you? People that I've volunteered for that tried to purchase me in the fight for 15 when they decided to go with the candidate that said 12 over 15. This is how we lose elections. This is how I knew that Trump was going to win. Hillary said, we can't change people's hearts. And she didn't, did she? But we can change people's hearts. Can't we, Cori Bush? You see the difference? I mean, come on, man. It's night and day. If you're not with the progressives at this point, you are a danger to my grandchildren. Damn you.
All right. Okay, Mike, and I can appreciate that passion, man. But this is an individual race. And this race, like any other race, they make decisions on strategy and ads. And they decided to throw an ad that implicates that her opponent, who the eventual winner, is going to be put into jail for some contracting jobs, et cetera, et cetera. I mean,
blue on blue violence, Michael.
Those kinds of things, while they decided to do it, maybe that stuff backfires a little bit, man. And when you're running a tight race, those kinds of decisions. Now, maybe you can't go back and take back what you said about eating a bowl of dog crap and voting for Biden. I mean, now I would say that's the same thing. That would be certainly true of voting for Trump, but I voted for Biden because he was better than Trump.
When's the last time Ohio went blue? When's the last time, Uncle Jim Clyburn down there, who's selling policies of the oppressive white guy to people that need him to stand up for him? These guys are wrong. Wrong is wrong. I keep telling you, you can't compromise with wrong anymore. We've done it for so long. We're off the charts, man. We're about to not exist anymore. We've already seen democracy be wiped out here for the moment. I mean, because there's no justice in this land if you're a working class person, and even less if you're not white. Come on, man. We got to stand up and do this now. And Nina Turner's a hero, man. I don't care. I don't care what she said. What if it's true and she lost? I'd rather hear the truth. And you know what? There are so many Democrats that are so corrupt and so involved, man. You can't deny that. Look at Cuomo. And that's, maybe not like a crime, but these guys have been, privileged and taken advantage and paybacks and backroom deals. That's why we lose as Democrats, because some of this stuff is true.
Have a cigar, Michael. Light up, buddy. Join the smoky backfilled rooms.
844-967-2789. We have our guest on the line. We're ready to roll with the Congressman Mark Pocan. Crudy, your congressman. Mark, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good, man. Thanks.
Excellent. Excellent, sir. We welcome you. Mark, we were just talking about progressive politics. Are they dead, Mark?
No, not at all. Anyone who tries to make a major judgment based on a low turnout special election where outside groups spent millions and millions of dollars distorting the normal electoral process, I don't think any large assumptions should be made based on that.
Mark, what about, next year's a midterm year? And obviously it's, we talk about a fight for the soul of the nation, and really the House of Representatives will be what that fight's about. And Mark, if we don't retain control of the House, it's really going to be a difficult time. We understand that your caucus, not the progressives, but the broader Democratic caucus, has been warned that Republicans are currently up about 6 on a generic ballot in swing states. Well, Mark, is that just the pendulum and it's going to happen and we're going to lose the House and we got to worry about Joe Biden getting impeached a year from now? Where do you think, what electoral lessons do you think should be learned, Mark? Is it support the president, or what's the lesson?
Well, I think one lesson is political years are like dog years. And whatever happens now, a year from now is like 7 years to a dog. It's like 7 years in real life, right? That's a snapshot based on some polling around economic issues. And honestly, we're still surviving through what hopefully is the tail end of COVID. And given all of that, what's going to matter is redistricting. There's some states that have Republican control, and we're going to have a chance to lose a few seats just through that. Some states have Democratic control. We'll pick up a few seats probably through that. And at the end of the day, we only have a 3-seat margin right now. It's tight. So I don't think anyone should put too much weight into that particular news story, other than a snapshot right now is people still feel uneasy economically. And that's always going to impact the party in charge. The good news is the American Rescue Plan was one of the biggest bills we've done in decades. If we can get an infrastructure bill done and this $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill that has an extension of that child tax credit, expands Medicare to things like vision and dental and hearing, and do more things that impact real people and not the special interests, I think then we just have to be able to tout those things because they have strong support and they need to know that we're actually doing something.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Congressman Mark Pocan going to join us. Going to stick around for the break for the next segment as well. Mark, we appreciate you doing so. The eviction moratorium, lots of discussion about this over the weekend. The White House or the CDC has made some action on this. Mark, what's your take on this? Is this going to, you think this is going to get thrown out on the courts? Will this give people enough time to get that money out? You talk about all this, all this other money that's being allocated already and bills that have been passed and money sent out. Very efficient on the PPP loans, very efficient on getting dollars to individuals for stimulus dollars. But getting this money out to the tenants for eviction relief, not so effective. Mark, what's your take?
Well, it depends where you live. Fortunately, Wisconsin's done a pretty good job of about $700 million that we've gotten for rental assistance. About $300 million has gotten out already. And the state's about to be doing some radio commercials and some other efforts to get the word out. I think the problem is we knew the eviction moratorium was going to end at the end of July. The president got back to us a little late last Thursday about him not doing something. Legislatively, it was difficult for us to turn it around. A unanimous consent request that we had was turned down by the Republicans. But thankfully, Representative Cori Bush put her personal life experience out there, did the sit-in at the U.S. Capitol so that she could really raise awareness and share her story. And, the Democrats were all pushing to get the president to do something, and he did. And even if there's a legal challenge, I think one of the positive things that came out of this is people realize now there is money available for up to 15 months of rent, and that can help connect people to that assistance to pay their landlords so that people can make the landlords and the tenants whole in doing so. So, the good news is in places like Wisconsin, we're doing it well. But we need to get this word out maybe in some other communities.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. We got the finest of guests, our friend Mark Pocan. He's my congressman. He's going to stick around after the break. You do as well. More Devil's Advocates with Mark Pocan.
Bring out your date. I'm not dead. I'm Satan reincarnated. I'm getting better.
This is like a bowl of doggy do. Put a cherry on top and call it.
If you love them enough to turn off your music and pretend like their music is your music.
Ah, this is Mommy's jam.
Then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Let's play it again.
Check today at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
President Biden's American Jobs Plan would invest in clean energy jobs, move the country towards clean power, and create millions of good-paying jobs for families like yours. It's the most progressive plan to create American jobs in decades. Members of Congress need to hear that this plan would help you and your family. Join Move On's fight to help working families. Text ACT to 668-366 to join Move On. Message and data rates may apply. Paid for by MoveOn.org Civic Action.
Hi, this is Don from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
The Devil's Advocates. They refuse to do math on the radio.
Dr. Michael Hicks, professor of economics, director of the Center for Business and Economic Research at Ball State University. This is troubling math all the way around. According to your mathematics, Michael, when do you think the great state of Wisconsin will get paid back on its investment?
Right. I mean, the answer is probably, the answer is never.
The Devil's Advocates, radio for the 99%.
And we're back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. If you missed any of this fine program, want to go back and relive the highlights, go to devilradio927.com. You can listen to and download podcasts and interviews.
Dominic, we appreciate my Congressman Mark Pocan sticking around. Mark, thank you. Got to ask you the obligatory Andrew Cuomo question now. Mark, all the Dems are being put on the spot. I know you don't serve in New York State, but Mark, we, the Dems, seemingly, we have purity tests, and Cuomo obviously is guilty of bad behavior and bad judgment, if nothing else. Sir, do you think he should resign?
Yeah, I wish I had enough free time to actually read the report and tell you, but from what it looks like, from the Attorney General of New York, it looks like there's at least a dozen pretty serious cases, and I think, I think Governor Cuomo has to have a serious look at resigning or being impeached. But I have not seen any of the particular details myself. We are still immersed in everything infrastructure and reconciliation. Sorry about that.
Well, the infrastructure, let's talk on that point for just a moment, Mark. Your congressional colleague from Wisconsin, Senator Ron Johnson, apparently wants to include funding the border wall in the bipartisan infrastructure deal. My understanding, the Senate rejected his proposition, but doesn't seem that's so Ron.
Yeah, well, I mean, for someone from Wisconsin to make their priority the border wall as opposed to anything that would directly support people in Wisconsin, that's Ron Johnson's problem, right? Rojo's not exactly, marching to the drummer here in the state that makes sense. And we've had this problem with him quite a bit, whether it be having hearings about negative reactions to vaccines, having him put out conspiracy theories, having him talk about January 6th, that they were just tourists at the insurrection. I don't understand Rojo, so I really can't explain it.
Congressman Pocan, on the process of this, if the Senate comes down with their deal, I'm assuming the House would have to go back and revisit it because it'll be separate from what the House did. Plus, my understanding, Speaker Pelosi said they wouldn't go through on the bipartisan deal unless they have some path for the reconciliation of $3.5 trillion there. Mark, how are we coming along, in your opinion, on this dual track legislative process?
Yeah, I still think that's the plan. That's been the plan from the beginning with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. Groups like the Progressive Caucus have said that's a priority. And now that Kyrsten Sinema has proved herself to be less than trustworthy, I think all the more that we're going to want to, not do the Popeye cartoon, gladly pay a Tuesday for a hamburger today. We want to have both the hamburger and the payment at the same time. And that means getting the infrastructure bill and the $3.5 trillion reconciliation done at the same time to make sure they both happen. So,
but Mark,
again, I've talked to Tammy Baldwin, and she feels very confident that that's still a very likely prospect in the Senate.
Well, she's more optimistic than I. I don't know that you get two bites at that hamburger, Mark. Do you think you get a bipartisan deal and this gargantuan reconciliation deal? I mean, Mitch McConnell's already slow walking it.
But that second part only requires 50 votes, and Joe Manchin already said he supports it. So if Kyrsten Sinema is your only problem, I don't think she's going to hang out there alone, especially if Joe Manchin is there for the spending. And, this is stuff like, keeping the child tax credit that's going to lift half the children in this country out of poverty for an additional 4 or 5 years. It's going to be expanding Medicare to vision, dental, and hearing care. If she wants to explain back in Arizona with the elderly population why she wasn't for those things, I would just want to hear it personally, because I think it'll be very interesting to watch her last words, because I don't think they'll politically keep her after that. I think this has still got a very good chance of happening.
Mark, another issue, different topic, and I saw this one recently. We really haven't got a chance to address it, but I want to ask you on this. The National Labor Relations Board issued a recommendation saying that Amazon illegally used a ballot drop box to defeat the union drive. What's your take on this, and where do we go from here?
I think they have to do the election over. there's a reason why there's a rule that you don't have ballot boxes at the place of employment, because you can clearly have intimidation, pressure, and manipulation of that ballot box. That's why that's not the way it's done. And yet Amazon, after asking and being told no, they went and did it anyway on at least 2 instances where hundreds of ballots were dropped. So, once again, Amazon would rather have their employees pee in a bottle than vote fairly. That's a serious problem. And I think the only way to really take care of that is to have another union election.
Mark, House Select Committee got started, I think it was last week, and started with 4 Capitol Police officers. Subsequently, we've seen the suicide of a couple more Capitol Police officers. And we've seen these cops that gave very candid, very emotional testimony. We've seen them villainized on right-wing media. This party of Back the Blue has certainly changed their stripes, Mark. What was your reaction to the first day of hearing testimony?
Well, I thought it was extremely powerful. I had not heard some of the things, especially hearing the police officers directly talking about being tased, talking about the bear spray and seeing some of that video, hearing the audio that they were going to use the officers' guns and kill them. You can't hear that and unhear it. And, for the Republicans who supposedly back the blue, well, they back the reddish blue is what they back. They don't just back the blue. And, I think it's time that, we really have to get to the bottom of what happened. We know that Donald Trump invited thousands of people that day. We know that he essentially egged them on. And we think we know, and that's hopefully will come out of this, is whether or not he could have called them off and didn't. And, at the end of the day, this is the first attack on the U.S. Capitol since the War of 1812. That's significant. We have to get to the bottom of it. And I think this commission will be able to do that.
Mark, do you think the subpoena power extended will give them the power to compel testimony? I mean, some of these Republicans, some of your colleagues in the House may be implicated, maybe fact witnesses, if nothing else. Do you think the House members, if not the former president, if the House members, Republicans, I'm thinking guys like Jim Jordan and Kevin McCarthy, will they be compelled to testify? Will they testify?
I think they should have to through subpoenas. And if they refuse to, I think it should go to the Department of Justice. And I hope that the Department of Justice will go after them. We can't allow people to thumb their nose at a subpoena on an official federal action. And we know, again, we have video of what happened with Kevin McCarthy and others that day. And now suddenly, their tune has changed because the cult leader has brewed another batch of Kool-Aid for folks. Jim Jordan, it took until a couple days ago to admit he had a conversation that day with the president. That's all significant. That makes you a witness, and we need that information.
Okay, one word answer. Will Trump ever testify before the House Select Committee?
Unlikely.
That is one word.
Damn it.
He's our congressman, my congressman, our friend Mark Pocan. Mark, thank you so much for joining us here on the Devil's Advocates today.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.
Glad to have you in the district, Congressman. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates, the 4 o'clock happy hour. I guess it starts right now.
I'd gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today.
This is like a piece of lettuce between 2 buns. Like, what are we even talking about?
They want to take away your hamburgers.
The Devil's Advocates are taking the political party back to State Street, to Madison's party destination, Hawks Bar and Grill. Tuesday, August 24th, the Devil's Advocates broadcast live from Hawks 2 to 5 p.m. And then the Summer Lovin' Party really begins. You're going to want to get your share. Inferior radio shows would be exhausted after this many parties. But the Devil's Advocates have prayed our whole lives for this. We were built for Summer Lovin'. Come to Hawks Bar and Grill Tuesday, August 24th. Party with the Devil's Advocates and get your Summer Lovin' on.
Extra, read all about it. Hey, what's going on? Oh, didn't you hear? Knuckleheads is moving locations, but not to worry. Knuckleheads will still be on State Street and your best shop for CBD and wellness. And it's going to be at 520 State Street on ground level, which is 100% handicap accessible. Stop by the new digs from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. any day of the week and get 15% off when you mention Devil Radio. I'm Lando Commando, and I'll see you there at our new location, 520 State Street. Extra, extra.
You are listening to WTTN Columbus, W224EG Madison, always streaming at doubleradio927.com.
AP News, I'm Tim McGuire. 82 of the 150 members, more than half of the New York State Assembly, say they favor starting impeachment proceedings against Governor Andrew Cuomo after a state attorney general's investigation found credible the sexual harassment allegations against him by 11 women. A number of district attorneys are also looking at the report to see if there's a chance of criminal investigations. Cuomo has denied the allegations, insisting the findings didn't reflect the facts. Florida's Republican governor sharply criticizes President Biden after Biden called out state leaders for not backing mask mandates and other efforts against the pandemic. AP Sagar Magani has more from the White House.
Here at the White House this week, the president urged Ron DeSantis and other governors to help fight the pandemic.
If you aren't going to help, at least get out of the way.
DeSantis's response:
if you are trying to lock people down, I am standing in your way.
Accusing the president of trying to strip parental rights by forcing kids to wear masks in schools. DeSantis has ordered school districts not to mandate masks. 2 Florida school boards are now defying the ban. Sagar Magani at the White House.
Genesis Healthcare, the nation's largest nursing home operator, has told workers they have to be vaccinated against the coronavirus or else lose their jobs. Company has some 70,000 employees in 400 nursing homes and senior communities. Some 40% of nursing home staffs are still not vaccinated, leading experts to fear the Delta variant could lead to a jump in infections among residents. Microsoft, the latest corporation to tell employees they must be fully vaccinated before returning to U.S. offices and other work sites starting next month. Vendors and any guests of the company must also be vaccinated. This is AP News.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 or more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. A CGM can immediately reduce pain. It's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Plus, get free shipping, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. Call now to receive your new continuous glucose monitor at little or no out-of-pocket cost.
Paid for by U.S. Medical Supply.
Call 800-611-6638. That's 800-611-6638. Again, 800-611-6638. That's 800-611-6638.
Do you want Wisconsin to suck? I don't. That's why you're listening to me now. I'm Hawk, owner of Hawk's Bar and Grill. Come to Hawk's on State and tell them you're there because the devil sent you. Then I can spend more money on ads and help Devil Radio keep Wisconsin from spiraling into post-apocalyptic Republican suckage. I mean, that's Iowa's job. Buy a round of Hawks and save Wisconsin one drink at a time.
Suck down drinks so we don't have to suck.
Okay.
Yeah, it's piracy. So many product prices are jacked up so high because of shortages. Piracy, I tell you, matey.
So keep your sights on Crazy Lenny's e-bikes. They have the low price reputation.
Low prices. We saw this coming 10 months ago. We started buying more bikes, 100 bike containers, so we could keep our low price image.
Shiver me timbers. Give us an example.
E-bikes with 40-mile range, with disc brakes, with torque controller. Retail $1,900. Nope, not at my store. Just $844.
$1,900 bike for $844. That is crazy.
Aye, matey. And we have 150 electric bikes on display on our show.
$844 for quality e-bikes at Crazy Lenny's e-bike.
My store. I mean, my ship.
Raise the plank and hoist the sails. Set our course for Crazy Lenny's bosun.
Crazy Lenny's e-bikes are down the road.
So I've already guaranteed this will be my last term. I'm doing this because I want to solve these problems.
Was it problem solving when you blocked COVID relief or when you downplayed the insurrection?
I want to do it because I'm so concerned about the direction of this country. I've got something to offer.
Like becoming a hydroxychloroquine salesman?
I'll go home with a smile on my face, realizing I'd left it all on the field.
You must be exhausted.
I don't feel like my time here has been particularly successful.
Go home.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. Yesterday, Governor Tony Evers announced he is directing $10 million in additional federal stimulus funds to Wisconsin's tourism industry. The funds will be available through grants that regional groups will be able to apply for to address projects like convention centers and attractions that suffered throughout the pandemic. To date, Governor Evers has announced allocation for just over $900 million of the $2.5 billion of Wisconsin's allotment of federal stimulus funds. The Madison City Council voted yesterday against zoning changes for a redevelopment proposal that would have torn down the Wonder Bar and Coliseum Bar on East Olin Avenue. Forecast of patches of fog this morning, turning to partly cloudy to sunny skies throughout the day and a high of 83 degrees. Light and variable winds expected this evening with partly cloudy skies and an overnight low of 61 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we are sliding into the Wednesday 4 o'clock happy hour. We're always happier when the audience participates. 844-967-2789. A couple of headlines have caught my attention. Local headlines. Madison, Dane County mandate vaccine for workers. Well, I think that's good news. Our friends over at Wisconsin Public Radio report public employees must be vaccinated against COVID-19 or undergo weekly testing. That's not inconvenient at all. City of Madison and Dane County employees will have to be vaccinated against COVID-19 or undergo weekly testing for the disease. Leaders announced yesterday the start date of the new policy is still being decided. Masking will also be required for Dane County's roughly 2,400 employees, along with visitors to the county government buildings. In the city, the public is not required to wear a mask to enter municipal buildings, but Madison's 2,800 workers will have to mask up. The new rules come as infections rise largely due to the more contagious Delta variant. Joe Parisi, our pal, the county executive, says the Delta variant is not last year's coronavirus. It's much more serious. So if you are an employee in Dane or Madison, you're going to have to mask up. And if you want to go interact with your government, you're probably going to have to mask up in those circumstances, certainly at the county level. But perhaps some good news, a positive headline.
Oh, yeah, good. We need some of those.
Tony Evers, I've often called him a cream puff. Well, let me make a point. Governor Tony Evers to offer cream puffs for vaccines at Wisconsin State Fair.
Oh, I'd rather have the $100, man.
Some states are offering college tuition raffles. Right. Some are paying residents $100. But in Wisconsin, Governor Tony Evers is giving cream puffs to residents who get vaccinated at the state fair.
What? No food on a stick?
Deep
fried butter on a stick?
Get vaccinated and you get a 30-minute back rub from Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Gross.
Evers' office. Well, I mean, really, are you going to line up for a cream puff? They're not bad, but all things considered, they're nearly as bad for you as the coronavirus.
People literally do line up for them. They have like a line to go and do that. It's better than good.
They love their cream puffs. And of course, last year, the state fair, no state fair. So there's going to be lots of cream puffs getting eaten this year.
Evers' office announced the incentive on Wednesday, along with the launch of an on-site vaccination clinic at the fair through a partnership with the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
Good.
Here's a quote from the cream puff in chief, Tony. For 52 years, Kathy and I haven't missed a state fair, except for last year, of course. And we've shared some of our favorite memories here, including eating our share of Wisconsin cream puffs. Getting shots in the arms is a critical part of making sure our state and our economy continue to recover. So we're thrilled to partner with the folks at DHS and the Wisconsin State Fair to provide cream puffs for all my friends who get their COVID-19 vaccine at the State Fair Clinic on site this year. Now, the State Fair Vaccination Clinic will be open, Dom, from 11 to 8 p.m. It will run from August 5th, that's tomorrow, through August 15th. And those who receive their vaccination on site, well, they get a voucher.
For a cream puff.
You don't want them handing you a cream puff. Here, hold this. Here's your cream puff. So you get a voucher for a cream puff. It's redeemable at the Cream Puff Pavilion.
Oh, it's quite a pavilion.
The state health department reported the highest number of new cases of COVID-19 in Wisconsin since February. At the end of July, state health officials also attributed the rise in recent cases to the highly contagious Delta variant. Health officials have expressed concern that the spread of the Delta variant could lead to the development of new, more dangerous strains of the virus, and are urging all Wisconsinites to get vaccinated and to wear masks in public indoor spaces. I was at the Capitol yesterday, Dom. I didn't get the memo, and I felt a little conspicuous. I was like a Trumpster there. Might as well have worn a MAGA hat.
Because you did not have a mask?
Yes. It was like I was reverse virtue signaling. I felt a little guilty. I honestly did. I'm like, I didn't know that was going to be a requirement of the Democratic-led legislative press conference at the Assembly Parlor. And you, of course, you came to town today. Couldn't be expected to come 2 days in a row. So God knows whether or not you were wearing a mask.
The Dems that were there, they were masked up. What about the press and others that were covering the press conference?
Sort of a mixed bag, but the Dems set a good example, and all the Dems that I noted were wearing masks. Some took them off. Some spoke through the masks, even during the press conference.
Sure.
Senator Agard, she's gotten good at that. She's
project a little more when you're wearing anything. Yeah, you got to.
It didn't sound muffled whatsoever. Yeah. So,
well, on that note, Crudy, jumped on the DHS Wisconsin website, Department of Health Services. You mentioned most cases of coronavirus right now since February. The positivity rates right now, yesterday, 7.5%. This is a 7-day running average. 7.5% yesterday of all tests came back positive. Today, 7.2%. So we're over 7. We haven't been to this level of positivity rates for testing since last January. So that is concerning, and I just hope everyone goes and get the stupid vaccine. There's no reason not to.
What's really troubling to me, Dom? The vaccination rate here in the state of Wisconsin, not so great. Now, my understanding is 70% of all adults in America now have had at least one shot. That's my understanding. Here in the state of Wisconsin, we're way behind that. Way behind. So the question is why are we so bad at convincing? I mean, we're like low 50s.
Yeah, right now, DHS reporting as of today, vaccines of the percent of residents who have received at least one dose, 52.3%. The percentage of residents who have completed the vaccine series, 49.5%. So we still have 50%, less than 50% of the people in this state are fully vaccinated. And 52%, which is way under the national average, have received at least one dose.
So let's go to the state fair and eat some cream puffs.
What about the Deer District?
Yeah, I was
going to say, like
500-ish people, just that they can track back to the events of the in an NBA playoff run. And it was a glorious run.
It was glorious.
Looked fun as hell in the Deer District. My wife kept saying, let's go. And I'm like, yeah. I like to party like the next guy.
It was fun. I went down there. I went for the parade, stayed on the bridge outside, and then went out one other time with an event that we had some private space adjacent to the alleys. So it was a blast. But of course, I didn't wear a mask, and I was thinking the same thing. Now, 500 out of how many, right? I mean, what are we talking about?
Something approaching 100,000, at least on one night.
Right. So, that's what I'm saying. So you add all that up, of what percentage is that? And do we even know all of those?
Well, of course not. And I suspect there's probably an undercount. I mean, it's probably more than the 491-ish cases they reported. It's probably much bigger than that. And there is, I would suspect, some overlap between the fans in the Deer District. Some that were probably there for 5-6 games.
Sure. Going back and forth, keep on going. It's a party, man. I mean, and Milwaukee is the town of the festival, town of festivals, right? And we haven't had jack for festivals. So people were jonesing. I mean, come on, the Bucks hadn't won in 50 years. So yeah, there was a lot of excitement, certainly in the air. And unfortunately, that's going to happen. You get that many people together. Well, there we go. 490 some cases of COVID.
Excitement and COVID
in the air.
844-967-2789. Dick from Madison. Appreciate your patience. Welcome, Dick. What do you got for us?
Hey, Dick.
Well, so Pizza Box earlier, my dad used to have a saying about the people he's talking about, and their mentality is this: what's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine too. And that explains them. But no, I'm kind of worried about Wisconsin too. I'm surprised we aren't having more of an outbreak because 50% sucks. Come on. But,
right.
But here's something I want to run by you. What state has this going for it? It took 2 months last summer for the number of people in the hospital with COVID-19 to jump from 2,000 to 10,000, and it only took 27 days this summer. What state do you think that would be?
I'm guessing Florida, Dick.
You guessed it.
Yeah,
Absolutely
baby.
Right. And guess what his governor says in response to it?
No big deal.
You
guys are overreacting.
Here's his quote. They're coming for your freedom again.
They're coming
This
for your
guy's
freedom
got to
again.
be snuffed out before he gets a chance to be national. And I think it's going to happen, like I told you Monday. I think they're going to come for him because that is a disaster down there.
They're getting 20,000 new infections a day in Florida.
Yes.
And they have like over 10,000 hospitalizations right now in Florida.
I wish you guys would stop blaming the victims, DeSantis would tell you. Did you see that deflection today? Well, you can't blame the victims. Nobody wants to get ill.
So get the shot.
Oh, back off. Can't. It's
freedom.
Free will. Thanks for the call, Dick. I guess Dick since we were about done with him. Do you see Ron DeSantis in the great state of Wisconsin raising big chick? Tell you about that.
The punk Ron DeSantis. Did someone call him a punk yesterday?
If they didn't, they should have.
Yeah, we read a piece comparing him to the feckless Scott Walker.
Oh yeah, that was Steve Schmidt.
Yeah.
That's what Republicans say about DeSantis.
Some Republicans.
Well, he's just a watered down version of your better cult leader. Come back with us. We'll tell you about DeSantis, Daniel Bice. If it's got a little gossip and some money involved. It's a little soap opera over there in the Bice column.
I
share
love
it with you. More Devil's Advocates. We'll be right back.
You're talking about Delta, sir.
Of course I'm talking about Delta, you twerp.
Delta's already on probation.
Then as of this moment, they're on double secret probation. The time has come for someone to put his foot down. And that...
Hi, I'm Mike Crute, and I'm the owner of Devil Radio. I'm asking for your support now. Wisconsin has 81 conservative radio stations, blanketing the entire state with conspiracies of stolen elections, anti-vaxxer messaging, and it's all fueled by dark money. The left's best and only on-air voices in our state cannot be funded entirely by pizza parlors. The battle for the soul of Wisconsin is ongoing. Go to devilradio927.com and click the Support Devil Radio tab. Give now if you can. Thank you.
President Biden's American Jobs Plan would invest in clean energy jobs, move the country towards clean power, and create millions of good-paying jobs for families like yours. It's the most progressive plan to create American jobs in decades. Members of Congress need to hear that this plan would help you and your family. Join MoveOn's fight to help working families. Text ACT to 668-366 to join Move On. Message and data rates may apply. Paid for by MoveOn.org Civic Action.
Stream Progressive News and Talk 24/7, as well as download exclusive podcasts and interviews at devilradio927.com. That's devilradio927.com.
Are you interested in channeling your creative passions into a podcast? Maybe you've always wanted to start one, but you didn't know how. Chris here from the On the Bus podcast. Devil Radio is the perfect podcast platform for you motherfuckers out there in radio land.
Dude, you can't say that shit on the air.
What, I can't say
No.
I can say on the podcast. I can't say here.
Yeah, but FCC on the air, man.
To learn more about how the Devil Radio team can help you make your podcast a reality, give them a call at 608-819-8255 or check out devilradio927.com.
Greetings, everyone. This is Nate Tim inviting you to my new show, Lay of the Land, about life and politics in rural Wisconsin. Please join me at 7 p.m. Thursday, August 5th for ideas, guests, and conversation on Devil Radio.
Devil Radio, your fix for progressive talk from Middleton to Monona, always streaming at darnwi.com.
The Devil's Advocates, because it's always 420 somewhere.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. You can join us on the phones, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, what were we talking about? Ron DeSantis coming to Wisconsin, raking in cake, cashing checks.
The grift continues.
Bice over at the Journal Sentinel, Daniel Bice, sort of the, how would you describe Bice, Dom? Sort of the gossiper in chief.
Yeah, I mean, no, I like some of Bice's work, man. He gets into it.
Well, some of Bice's work is good, and some of Bice's work is gossip.
Well, you got to have something to talk about, Crudy.
Well, let's talk about the gossipy Daniel Bice column regarding Ron DeSantis coming to Wisconsin to raise big bucks at a suburban Milwaukee fundraiser. A big time Florida politician. Is that what we're calling DeSantis?
It's just Google
big time.
Google Florida man.
Florida man Ron DeSantis came to Milwaukee last week to raise buckets of campaign cash and elevate his Republican presidential aspirations. No, it wasn't former President Donald Trump. It was Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Insiders say the fundraiser was held on July 26th at the Fox Point mansion of Catherine Burke, a local philanthropist and widow of John J. Burke, founder of Burke Properties, who died in 2019. The Burkes were responsible for such Milwaukee landmarks as the Bryce Sowell wings at the Milwaukee Art Museum. Donors at the DeSantis event had to pay a cool $1,000 to attend, and the maximum contribution, Dom, $25,000 to the Republican governor's campaign fund.
Now, what if I want to give more than $25,000? Ron, how would you suggest I do that?
Oh, I'm sure there's a super PAC for that. One source said about 50 to 60 people were in attendance. Officials with DeSantis' campaign didn't return calls or emails this week. Here is a statement. He's taking his newfound national fame and running with it, suggested a prominent Wisconsin Republican, an anonymous source here. It also is very clear that he's positioning himself to run for president. Former Democratic Party Chair Mike Tate, our pal, said DeSantis wants to run for president next to Trump. He's the second choice of the MAGA faithful. Technically, DeSantis is running for re-election next year and has to raise a ton of money across the country. Not so technically, Wisconsin could be a big state in a bust-out Republican presidential primary. DeSantis has emerged this year as a Republican rock star. Is that what he is?
I mean, I don't know about rock star.
I mean, I got to think he's as dynamic as Tom Petty in concert, Tom.
Oh, come on.
And Petty had great music, but not the greatest concert guy.
Shut your whorish mouth. How dare you? One of the best concerts I ever went to, Pearl Jam opening up for Tom Petty.
Well, Pearl Jam might have rocked, but Tom Petty just kind of strums his guitar stage left, stage right.
Come on. I'm not saying he's running around like Motley Crue, but he certainly puts on, or did put on, one of the greatest shows ever.
Do you remember we went to Tom Petty at the Marcus Amphitheater in Milwaukee, and someone had the first 4 rows. Do you remember who it was? Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, did he? That's right.
It was like a one-man VIP session. And, so anyways, Tom Petty came out strumming his guitar, very rock star-ish. And Weird Al just rocking out sort of all by himself.
Don't ever compare Ron DeSantis to Tom Petty. Shame on you.
Come on. I think Weird Al might have rocked more in concert than Tom Petty.
Weird Al is awesome in concert, and Weird Al is also awesome. He's a super fanboy, too.
Apparently he is. I bet he listens. If you're listening, Weird Al, 844-967-27.
A little bit more here.
And I love you.
I love you.
I think more is certainly merited.
A Republican rock star, not so much. A top presidential contender for 2024, perhaps, crafting an image of himself as a leading Trump acolyte. For months, he has touted his COVID-19 response as one that rejected the advice of experts while still holding down Florida's death rate. Well, we'll see how that pans out in the next couple of months. But his state has experienced a dramatic surge in coronavirus infections in recent weeks, prompting Democratic President Joe Biden to urge DeSantis to get out of the way of people who are trying to do the right thing. Over the past 3 days, the CDC reports that the state has more than 50,000 new infections and 100 deaths. One Democratic strategist suggested that DeSantis has gotten his priorities wrong, just like Trump. DeSantis' similar failed record on COVID is only one reason among many he should slink off into the good night instead of trolling for cash from Wisconsin's funders of fringe fanatics, Sachin Chetta, who runs the local Democratic contests.
We've got sound of the recent visitor to the land of cheese here, Ron DeSantis. Sound from today, talking about the coronavirus.
All right, let's hear some free falling.
Cut number 70. If you could, Fancy Brian, Ron DeSantis, he's the money man, the rainmaker. Cut 70.
If you're coming after the rights of parents in Florida, I'm standing in your way. I'm not going to let you get away with it.
Your kid has the right to die. Freedom. Here's more from DeSantis. He's a big rock star. Tom Petty style. Cut 71.
We can either have a free society or we can have a biomedical security state. And I can tell you, Florida, we're a free state.
Biomedical security state. One more. DeSantis, cut 72.
People are going to be free to choose to make their own decisions about themselves, about their families, about their kids' education, and about putting food on the table.
Now you can make a decision about yourselves, when if you want to indulge in the consumption of cannabis, for example. Oh, no, can't do that. Maybe if you're a woman and you have an unwanted pregnancy, you can have an abortion. Oh, no, can't do that. Oh, but when it comes to these kinds of cases, when it's their point of view, then it's freedom for all. If it's something they disagree with, well, then it's the heavy hand of government going to show you the right thing because God wants you to do it.
I love the fact that DeSantis, he's dictating to corporations how they must run their corporation. Even cruise ships. You'd hate all the mask-wearing cruise passengers to catch Legionnaire's disease.
Death Santas?
It all kind of goes. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates, 844-967-2789.
We can either have a free society or we can have a biomedical security state. And I can tell you, Florida, we're a free state.
Shut up, you little weasel.
Hear history as it happens, only on Devil Radio 92.7 FM.
Hi,
I'm Mike Crute, and I'm the owner of Devil Radio. I'm asking for your support now. Wisconsin has 81 conservative radio stations, blanketing the entire state with conspiracies of stolen elections, anti-vaxxer messaging, and it's all fueled by dark money. The left's best and only on-air voices in our state cannot be funded entirely by pizza parlors. The battle for the soul of Wisconsin is ongoing. Go to devilradio927.com and click the Support Devil Radio tab. Give now if you can. Thank you. This is Crudy, and I recommend calling Dave and the team at Community PC to solve all your computing needs. What do I call Community PC? Because I don't want to learn new things about tech. Because I don't want to call the manufacturer's customer service line and waste half a day of my life. Because I don't want to ask my kid for help and have him respond, okay, boomer. Just call Community PC at 608-268-7178 for their patient service. Just let Community PC fix it. 608-268-7178.
Takes on Donald Trump over the Capitol insurrection. I'm Jackie Quinn with an AP News Minute. A federal judge has assailed the false claims of election fraud pushed by the former president and his supporters as she sentenced a member of the mob that stormed the U.S. Capitol January 6th. U.S. District Judge Amy Berman Jackson told Carl Dresch of Michigan he placed his trust in someone who repaid him by lying. A majority of state assembly members in New York support impeachment proceedings against Governor Cuomo if he doesn't resign over the finding he sexually harassed at least 11 women. An Associated Press count determines more than half the body's members favor initiating the process. That includes Schenectady Democrat Phil Sturck.
When the governor sees that we're ready, willing, and able to put him on trial, and that he doesn't have the votes to continue in office, it might encourage him to resign.
The Dow dropped more than 300 points today. I'm Jackie Quinn.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 or more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. A CGM can immediately reduce pain. It's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Plus, get free shipping, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. Call now to receive your new continuous glucose monitor at little or no out-of-pocket cost.
Paid for by U.S. Medical Supply.
Call 800-611-6638. That's 800-611-6638. Again, 800-611-6638. That's 800-611-6638.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. On Tuesday, the county's top health official was joined by Madison Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway and Dane County Executive Joe Parisi at a press conference announcing the city and county will be mandating COVID-19 vaccines for all employees. The officials announced the rapid spread of the Delta variant as the cause for the mandate, and employees that are unable to show proof of vaccination will be required to test for COVID-19 weekly. Mayor Rhodes Conway and Executive Parisi also announced employees will need to wear masks while inside government buildings and encouraged other employers to take similar action. Forecast of patches of fog this morning, turning to partly cloudy to sunny skies throughout the day and a high of 83 degrees. Light and variable winds expected this evening with partly cloudy skies and an overnight low of 61 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
You're listening to the radio show your mother warned you about. Tom and Cruz are the devil's advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show, the 4 o'clock happy hour. Starts with a little, well, it didn't start to roll it on, but this segment starts with a little Offspring. Played for a purpose, Dom. The drummer has been kicked out of the band.
Oh, no.
Started dating Yoko Ono, I heard. Here is what is being reported on Tuesday. Consequence.net. We don't often quote the consequence.net, but it reported that the 90s punk rock group The Offspring had kicked out drummer Pete Parada over his refusal to get vaccinated for COVID-19. Parada, who has been the band's drummer since 2007, explained his departure in a lengthy statement on Instagram, saying that his medical history and advice from his doctor have led him to choose not to get vaccinated at this time. He added that as a result, the rest of the band feels he's unsafe to be around in the studio and on tour. Said the report. Back in April, the Offspring released their latest album, Let the Bad Times Roll, which marked their first studio LP in 9 years. It's also the first Offspring album where Parada played drums on the entire effort, having previously appeared on just 4 of the tracks on 2012's Days Go By. So what? He's a part-time drummer? Kind of like you, part-time artist.
Come on, man. I don't know if there could be perhaps some physiological thing. Some people get exceptions for religious reasons, which I disagree with. But if there's some physical ailment, something wrong with the man, HIPAA.
Also, if you're on tour, even if you're a high level band, whether you're on a plane or a luxury bus, you're still in really close quarters with everybody, not just you and the band, but also the tour manager and a couple other people that are going on,
and the roadies, says the former road guy.
Yes, right? And by the way, had he not seen any sort of drummer movies before or anything else, the drummer always dies first. Right. The drummer's the one that's the most susceptible in any band. Have you please get your vaccine?
Spinal Tap, man.
Yes,
that's the point.
That's the whole point. They got replaced mid-show.
844-967-2789. Dom, you're out of the band.
This band will be nothing without me, man. Nothing. I'm telling you, nothing.
We got a drum loop. You're replaced.
844-967-2789. Welcome all you Brewers fans. My understanding, Brewers won today, right?
They did win today.
Held on.
They held on to win.
The COVID-infected bullpen didn't blow another save.
No, that was yesterday's game, right?
Yeah.
Pirates 2, Brewers 4.
The first place Milwaukee Brewers.
Excellent.
844-967-2789. Yes.
Before we get too far away from the Offspring,
I know baseball was invoked. So
I know baseball is very important, and I want to skip over that. But Tony from Oregon, he jumps in with lead singer's girlfriend's brother is taking over as the drummer. Is that a coincidence?
Lead singer's
girlfriend's brother.
What's that make us?
Absolutely nothing.
Drummer's girlfriend's brother nepotism.
That'll be great when they split up or he's on tour, and now you got a couple other ladies interested in the band, and the brothers,
some
the
groupies. Our 90s punk rock band still getting groupies.
She did the whole show, and that's a natural fact.
Sweet Connie. Now I've noted you've got some progressive groupies, Dom.
844-967-2789, and I love every single one of them. Like Mark from the Sack. Hey, baby, how you doing, Mark? Welcome to the show.
More of a roadie than a groupie, Mark.
Yeah,
but willing to learn, I suspect.
Well, not that kind of thing. However, I mean, for all these people that I don't want to take the vaccine, I don't want to try going through cancer treatment and having this thing and going through COVID at this, going through the whole, watching the whole COVID thing go down in the same year, and just chomping at the bit to get the vaccine from last year, hoping a vaccine was going to show up on this. I mean, these people that do not want to take the vaccine, it's ridiculous. And for Ron Johnson, 285 miles of border wall. How about 285 miles or 600 miles of track laid in Wisconsin from the Wisconsin border through Milwaukee, through Madison, up to Eau Claire and over to the cities. Oh, how much good would that do Wisconsin for the infrastructure, Ron Johnson, you pompous idiot? I mean, I guess I'm just at the point now for some of these Republicans that are doing this stuff. They can get COVID and it can turn to the Red Death now. I guess that's not a very Christian way of thinking it, but I mean that let them all melt into little piles of goo. I mean that. I'm
come on.
I'm not being very charitable here, but I mean these guys are causing the deaths of how many tens of thousands of people. I mean that there's going to be thousands of people that die as a result of Ron DeSantis' actions down in Florida.
Mark, your phone's starting to go bad. Call us back tomorrow from the bread wedding. Let us know how it goes.
Right. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. And I totally understand your frustration. I have that same frustration. And what do? It's not everyone, who's, politically misaligned with me. It's friends, it's family. Some people that decided, well, it's too early. I'm not getting it yet, or I haven't got it, or I haven't got around to it. There's really, it's free. It's easy to get. There's no excuse. We have, billions of these things out there. We have a pretty good sample size. And I'm seeing some reports, perhaps, on the socials, so I'm not going to quote anything, but I believe there's been word that perhaps the FDA will approve some of these vaccines as early as the beginning of September.
That would be good. That is the excuse. My understanding of like 3 out of 10 unvaccinated people. So
that's a big percentage. I mean, that will literally help move the needle on this.
Update since we've been on the air, Dom. State employees here in Wisconsin will be required to wear masks regardless of vaccination status. That good news. That starts tomorrow, Thursday. New mandate just dropped. All state of Wisconsin employees will be required to wear face masks in state buildings starting on Thursday, regardless of vaccination status. The new mandate, they're calling it a Band-Aid. Just don't call it a comeback. The new mandate was issued by Governor Tony Evers' Department of Administration to reflect the Centers for Disease Control and the Department of Health Services guidance. It applies to state employees and contractors when inside state facilities are performing, easy for me to say, performing duties indoors, whether or not they are vaccinated against COVID-19. Masks in Dane. Madison, apparently you can go into the municipal building without a mask, but all employees must be vaccinated and masked. And apparently state employees must wear masks at work, regardless of vaccine status.
Well, add to that list, Crudy, according to Kelly Meyerhofer at the Wisconsin State Journal, UW-Madison will reinstate its indoor mask mandate for all students, staff, and visitors on Thursday.
The hell you say, according to Steve Nass?
The mask mandate could mark the first major change in UW-Madison's fall plans. The university previously allowed vaccinated people to forego a face covering, a policy that began in early June, not that long ago. But a concerning increase in COVID-19 cases in recent weeks that experts attribute to the Delta variant of the coronavirus caused campus officials to reassess. The new mask order will be in place until further notice and will be revisited as the health public situation warrants, according to a message from the chancellor's office. Going back to masking is not a step that many of us wanted to take, but it is important to protect the health of those on our campus and in our community, the message said. The university's Tuesday announcement of the mask mandate came just hours after a Republican-controlled legislative committee voted along party lines that all UW campuses' virus-related health measures must come to the committee for approval within the next 30 days.
Well, that was Steve Nass, right? Republican Steve Nass.
Yes.
Particular jackass in this case. And I think it was former Governor Tommy Thompson that gave him the middle finger with the mask mandate at UW-Madison.
You think Tommy Thompson
on the same day, hours
has his
later?
fingerprints on this thing?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Tommy's like, you little peon, you insignificant human being, Steve Nass. And the fact that Steve Nass, somehow this anti-intellectual, this anti-science, anti-evolution sort of guy gets to set policy for an institution of higher learning and their efforts to stem a pandemic. How Steve Nass somehow gets to say in that is just one of the more frustrating things to me about being a Wisconsinite. It's the last freaking human being I would want to have a say on that. Dominic, we've got some new polling out. We're going to get to it in the next segment. New polling in the Wisconsin senatorial race, the Democratic race to, go up against Ron Johnson. We'll tell you all about it. Our pal Charles Franklin coming in studio tomorrow, 2:30 to 3 o'clock. Going to talk about some Supreme Court polling, some national polling, and then New Marquette University Law School polling next week. I think it'll be a doubleheader for Charles.
Nice. Been a while. We look forward to Charles coming around.
Far too long. 844-967-2789. Charles, pardon me, John from Hubertus. How you doing, John?
Hey, John.
All right. Hi, guys.
You got any
I just
polling
wanted
data
to-
for me, John? Sorry to call you Chuck.
What's that?
I just got your name wrong, John. I do that with some frequency. Let's move on. Let's pretend like I called you John the first time.
I just want to give you a perspective, my perspective. There were 48 and 43 of them were union. And I'm telling you, the people we ever had to stand up for us was the Democrats. That's all gone away. And the Democrats.
John, I'm so sorry, man. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Can you please give us a call back at 844-967-2789? Your phone is terrible, John. I apologize.
Try us again, John. 844
Or pay your bill.
967-2789. Love to hear what he has to say.
Yes. We'll give you the rare double header. You've been invoked, John. Just dial us again. Yes.
I just wanted to correct an earlier statement. Tony texted in and said he made that up about the offspring. So good for me. I got completely screwed.
Well,
I should
got
never.
T-boned.
I got T-boned, and I should never, ever trust
Tony.
anybody who's on a text. That's where George comes from.
Come on, Tony.
Once upon a time, I saw an article and it was tantalizing. It said that Tim Tebow, who, football player, I think he's trying to play tight end now, played in the NFL, played in minor league baseball, and most famously is the praying guy. He does sort of the thing
Very
for prayer.
Christian-y on the field.
Very
yes.
Christian-y. And, he was a hell of a quarterback on the college level, and he's a hell of a leader and an admirable guy. But I saw an article that said he had gotten caught and arrested for prostitution.
Or something like behind a dumpster.
In Florida.
So, yeah,
something like that. And I so wanted it to
It's
be
like,
true.
what?
I read the article and then I found like some other reprint of the same article. I'm like, well, I've got it from two sources. And then I published it on our Facebook page, and then we talked about it. And then I had to take it all back.
Yes.
I got T-boned.
You got T-boned. Never get T-boned, man.
Now Fancy Brian knows exactly how it feels.
But
Feels so stupid.
The good news is, if and when, so rarely that it happens, if and when, what do? We address it.
We move on
fix it.
quickly.
And then we move on quickly.
844-967-2789. Moving on from Fancy Brian being T-boned. Darren, how you doing, Darren? What do you got for us?
Hey, Darren.
Hey, gentlemen, how you doing?
Good, sir.
It just makes me laugh out loud when I see Rick DeSantis down in Florida talking all tough and stuff. It's like, it just boggles my mind. You don't see any of these Republican or Democrats talking the way that these Democrats do at all. Like they're just, the chauvinism it's just beyond to a point where you have these rich white guys and I don't know, man. It's just ridiculous. You see them on TV. I just laugh. I think about God.
They're like the peacocks strutting around, like they're saying all the right, patriot words to keep their base agitated, right? And they got all their fancy colors, keeping the shiny objectism going.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, what they're trying to do, this virus has become totally political, and they're saying they're gonna try to, make the most of it, because if it goes to hell, everything goes everything goes down, then it's, Biden was the president, so it's got to fall on the Democrats.
Right.
And it's like just that whole ideology of it. It's going to end us.
Well, it very well might, or it could catapult Ron DeSantis into the presidency.
Oh, God.
Come back. We've got some senatorial polling, more devil's advocates.
I am your father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate.
Hi, I'm Mike Crute, and I'm the owner of Devil Radio. I'm asking for your support now. Wisconsin has 81 conservative radio stations blanketing the entire state with conspiracies of stolen elections, anti-vaxxer messaging, and it's all fueled by dark money. The left's best and only on-air voices in our state cannot be funded entirely by pizza parlors. The battle for the soul of Wisconsin is ongoing. Go to devilradio927.com and click the Support Devil Radio tab. Give now if you can. Thank you.
You feeling stressed or anxious, trying to figure out this new world? Maybe just feeling sore after all that summer yard work? You should come try Knuckleheads. With a new location at 520 State Street, Knuckleheads has the best CBD and wellness products Madison has to offer. Come talk to a friendly neighborhood knucklehead today and see if CBD works for you. You can call the shop at 608-284-0151 or check out the website, knuckleheadcbd.com, with any questions. And I'm Lando Commando, and I'll see you there at our new location, 520 State Street. Yeah!
Chad's Design Build is proud to sponsor the Summer of Love on Devil Radio. We are committed to our community to demand better for each and every person. Doing the right thing isn't necessarily easy or inexpensive, but when we take the time to listen and learn, we can build a better community. Thoughtful remodeling is a lot like building an effective, progressive coalition. It takes patience, intelligence, and love. Experience helps too. Thank you, Joe Biden, and thank you, Devil Radio. On behalf of Chad's Design Build, here's to the Summer of Love.
President Biden's American Jobs Plan would invest in clean energy jobs, move the country towards clean power, and create millions of good-paying jobs for families like yours. It's the most progressive plan to create American jobs in decades. Members of Congress need to hear that this plan would help you and your family. Join MoveOn's fight to help working families. Text ACT to 668-366 to join Move On. Message and data rates may apply. Paid for by MoveOn.org Civic Action.
Here's how you get them. If they bring a beer, you bring an old-fashioned. If they bring cheese curds, you bring a casserole. That's how you make friends. That's the Wisconsin way. That's Devil Radio.
Come on, man. And with the local DVC news.
Kicking ass and taking names since the Wisconsin uprising. Dom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Don't call it a comeback. We've been here for years. You can join us. Last segment of the day. If you got something to say, hit us up, toll-free talk or text, but be truthful. 844-967-2789.
Ladies love cool Domino.
It's already taken, man.
Well, not the Dominic part. LL
Cool
D.
Come on.
You could pull it off.
That's too close.
LL Cool P.
Nobody knows.
He wears Adidas knockoffs and stuff.
Right.
A gold-plated chain.
844-967-2789. Crudy, as mentioned, you teased it, some polling. And here is what we found from WisPolitics.com.
I got your poll.
Jeff Mayers, the proprietor over at WisPolitics, working on getting him on the show sometime next week. It's been too long. I look forward to getting updated with Jeff. But in the meantime, here's what WisPolitics has to say. Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes led his party rivals for U.S. Senate among Dem primary voters in Milwaukee County.
So a horse race in Milwaukee being polled.
According to a new poll commissioned by Milwaukee Works, Inc., 39% of respondents said they backed Barnes, the former Milwaukee lawmaker who got into the race last month. State Senator Chris Larson, also a Democrat from Milwaukee, our guest yesterday, was backed by 15%. They were the only two to crack double digits of the 8 candidates listed in the poll.
What about the the wealthy guy's son, Alex Lasry?
Okay, so here's the breakdown. Dr. Jillian Bettino, backed by 5% of respondents. Again, this is in Milwaukee County only.
Now I'm working on scheduling her. She's the Wausau radiologist, but we've been in contact with the campaign.
Our former guest and the person to whom you refer, Crudy, Alex Lasry, the Milwaukee Bucks exec, who's on leave, he polled at 4%.
Damn.
Not great. Milwaukee Alderman Chantia Lewis and State Treasurer Godlewski were both supported by 3%. Outagamie County exec Tom Nelson was at 2%, and Millennial Action Project founder Stephen Olacara, who has formed an exploratory committee, not formally in a race, was at 0%.
Sort of down there in the Scott Walker numbers.
Let's see. But 29% of those surveyed said they were undecided as to which candidate to back in the crowded field for the August 2022 primary. But now let's also remember, as our guest yesterday, he pulled out of the race, right? And he was the second highest polled. Senator Chris Larson was polling at 15%. Now he is now endorsed
Mandela Barnes.
So I'm not saying that all that support goes over to Mandela Barnes, but perhaps some of it would. And Mandela Barnes leading the field at 39%. Throw another 15%. He's way ahead in Milwaukee County.
Well, certainly, if Mandela Barnes pulls more than 50% support out of Milwaukee, in probability, he is your next, at least your nominee, your senatorial nominee from the Democratic side. I mean, but that's a big reach. I think the reasons that people like Chris Larson, the progressive roots, he's a good guy. And I think eventually he will hold some form of higher elective office here in the state of Wisconsin. This not his cycle. Chris told us yesterday, running for re-election as a state senator.
Well, being a state senator is no slouch.
But no, I'm not diminishing the role whatsoever. But Chris was a progressive. He was in the same lane as some others, guys like Tom Nelson, perhaps. Tom trying to play his progressive roots. Tom out there on the road all around the state, not just in Milwaukee.
The full Nelson, baby.
Doing the full Nelson tour, 72 counties. What they call that in Iowa, the full Grassley.
So is he? Gotta find out when he's coming to Dane County, man. Get him in the studio.
I have offered as much. What do you think? First time I ever tried to book a senatorial
I know
guest?
it's been a while, man.
I don't book them like I used to. I stay busy around here. So anyways, Tom, I don't know. A, it's very, very early. B, Mandela, obviously, he's the lieutenant governor. He's probably got the highest name recognition in the field. Little disappointing, Chris Larson polling 15% and pulls out of the race the very next day. So,
but again, but Milwaukee County, and these are known commodities in Milwaukee County. Certainly, if you'd polled Outagamie County, Tom Nelson probably be up there a little bit better. You poll Eau Claire County,
but
Godlewski's probably looking pretty good. But the media market size is really what matters here.
Well, that's what I was going to say. If you talk about 20% of all the Democratic voters in the state of Wisconsin coming out of Milwaukee County, well, it gets to be a big number.
Yeah.
And when you talk about the broader media market, including, like Waukesha County and the WOW counties into that broader media marketplace, well, yeah, I think Mandela's got to be feeling pretty good. He's got the momentum into the race. I guess if there's a underwhelming candidate in the polling so far, at least in Milwaukee, it's Alex Lasry. He's not garnering any of the positive, the good feeling from the Milwaukee Bucks World Championship.
Yeah.
You think
some of that goodwill should rub off on the guy.
You should get a little positive glom, right? So he obviously has financial resources. Lasry has demonstrated he is currently the most prolific fundraiser. So anyways, he's got like $1 million so far, raising like $1.25 million. Godlewski, now she's not as well known in the Milwaukee marketplace.
But still a statewide position, a state treasurer. So
no doubt.
Yeah.
Godlewski, obviously her campaign would have liked to have seen her polling higher in Milwaukee County. Now, she is not known for her association in Milwaukee. Obviously, Larson is, Mandela is, Lasry is. I forget who is the alder person that just jumped into the race as well. I thought that she was polled.
Milwaukee Alderman Shantia Lewis.
Yeah, now she's in the polling. Did she pull a percentage?
At 3%, same as Godlewski.
Yeah, so I mean, not bad for an alder. Obviously, more name recognition on the street in Milwaukee than perhaps Sarah Godlewski has. I like Sarah a lot. Everyone that listens to the show knows that I'm quite impressed with her as a candidate. And Mandela, man, he's been a buddy of ours for a long time. Obviously, he's got the momentum in the race currently. But you're about a year away from your primary.
And I like Congressman Pocan's analogy. It's basically like dog years. It's like 7 years away. We have a long way to go to get from here to there.
And all we expect of you, our fair audience, between now and then, just 3 hours a day.
Just 3 a day.
Or like 21 hours in dog years. You're going to have to listen to Earl and Matt Flynn and all the fine shows here.
Well, why wouldn't you? What else are you going to do?
Native Roots Radio going live from Madison tonight. We got Robert Pilot in town as well. Thank you to our fine guest, Mark Pocan. Damn it, who else do we have? Oh, we were supposed to have Robert. We'll bring him in studio another time soon. But Earl is next. Robert Pilot. The rest of you folks, have a great night. Keep it locked right here. 21 hours a day. We'll let you sleep for 3.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
No religion, no anything. Hurt the Bible, hurt
God. Sinner.
Oh, God.